Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince YT. Solo Leveling Chapter 1 begins. The scene cuts to a wide view of the city. Seoul, South Korea. Skyscrapers reflected off the river as life moved on. Unaware of what was happening beneath the surface, E-rank, Sung Jin-Woo. If you disregard my slightly abnormal strength and regeneration, it's embarrassing to even call myself a hunter. Among the crowd in Seoul, Jin-Woo walked quietly, blending in with the people around him. A young man with no fame, no power, and barely any combat skill. He was always getting hurt on raids, and more than once, he'd come close to death. Truth be told, the only reason he did this dangerous job was money. The hunter's life wasn't something he enjoyed. It was survival. A massive construction site stood tall in the city, sealed off with heavy machinery surrounding a glowing blue gate. The place was buzzing with energy. It was the start of another raid. Inside the site, a portal flickered with power. The gate pulsed blue, glowing brighter and stronger as magic leaked from its seams. Jin-Woo's voice echoed in thought. I barely pay my sick mother's medical bills with what the Hunters Guild pays me. For someone with no special abilities, no talent, and no other options, becoming a hunter was all he had? At the scene, other hunters were casually chatting over drinks. One smiled and handed a can to another. Here, good luck on your raid today. Thanks. Hey, Kim. A familiar voice called out. It's been a while. Kim turned to see an old comrade, Bach. Wait, Bach? What are you doing here? Bach laughed, rubbing the back of his head. Well, my wife is pregnant with our second son. Gotta earn more. There's nothing like a raid to earn a fortune, Kim replied. But still, it's not easy to live life. Bach sighed. I'm worried. It's been so long, I might fall behind. He took a sip of his drink. My skill was already bad, and it worsened after I took a break. Then, another voice called out. Bach blinked. The world's weakest? Not the strongest? Kim nodded. Bro, that's what we call S-rank sarcasm. Among all the hunters, Sung is considered the weakest. I mean, he's weak enough to get hurt in an E-rank dungeon, added another. Yeah, he's probably the weakest of us all. Bach was surprised. He's actually that weak? Kim, so that means our dungeon will be weak as well, since he came along. Sung Jin-Woo heard every word. Ah, I see. One of them laughed. Hey, he might hear us. Let's end it for now. Jin-Woo smirked. I've been hearing you, old geezers. Huh. He approached the refreshment table and asked, Hi, may I have a cup of coffee? The guild worker looked nervous. Ah, Hunter Sung-Woo Jin. I'm sorry. All the coffee ran out just now. Jin-Woo stood in silence for a moment. Not even coffee. It felt bad. The worker bowed slightly. Really sorry about this, Hunter Sung Jin-Woo. He exhaled softly. No, it's fine. Just then, a loud voice called out. Jin-Woo, you're hurt again. A young woman with auburn hair approached, concerned. Oh, hi. Looks like Miss Juhi is also attending this raid. She looked him over with worry. Of course. But that's not the problem. Why is your face hurt again? Don't know. It just happened while I was hunting. Haha, Jin-Woo replied, scratching his head with a sheepish grin. Juhi frowned. Really? What actually happened? They sat down on the wooden steps beside the gate. You even went to a hospital? She asked. Yeah, Jin-Woo replied. We were in an E-rank dungeon, and I was the only one hurt. Huh? How could that happen? Juhi looked shocked. Jin-Woo lowered his gaze. The others were all higher ranked, so they didn't even bring a healer. Juhi's voice rose. Even so, They really didn't bring a healer just because they thought they'd be safe? Jin-Woo smiled weakly. It's okay. It's only because I'm weak. He stood up, brushing off his clothes. I'm used to it. Miss Ju-hee also knows that, right? She remained silent. Jin-Woo turned back to her. Well, looks like everyone's getting ready to go into the gate. Let's go as well. Okay, she replied softly. Everyone, a loud voice called out from near the portal. A man with long hair and a wide smile stepped forward. We're off to go happy hunting. So I'm not really qualified to say this, but I'd like to be the party leader for this raid. Is that all right with you people? A few nodded immediately. Mr. Song, you're the highest ranked here. I've got no problems. Well, if it's Mr. Song, we can trust him. It's been a while since we witnessed his skills. Yeah, I agree as well. Yeah, count me in. Song announced. Inside the dungeon, Ju-hee was already tending to Jin-Woo's wounds. Her hands glowed with healing magic as she asked him, Why are you so adamant about working as a hunter? Jin-Woo smiled faintly and mumbled, Sorry. She cut him off gently. I'm not asking for an apology. I'm just worried. Meanwhile, the rest of the team was clearing out the monsters. Blazing flames erupted, swords clashed, and beasts fell. It was chaos, but to them, it was routine. Ju-hee looked around the battlefield. At least this raid is almost over, she sighed, returning to Jin-Woo and healing him once again. As she finished, she looked into his eyes and asked, Do you have a reason? A real reason not to quit. Jin-Woo hesitated. He didn't want to share his struggles. Instead, he smiled awkwardly. I just do this for fun. If I don't hunt, I'll die from boredom. But deep inside, he felt embarrassed even saying that. Ju-hee laughed. If fun sends you raiding into death's door, I don't want to know what danger looks like. Jin-Woo chuckled but winced in pain. Don't laugh. You'll open my wound. Nearby, Mr. Song held up a glowing crystal. This, he said, is what you get for killing a monster, the magical core. Even a C-rank core was worth thousands. But not for Jin-Woo. He stared at his tiny shard. Since I'm E-rank, I can't handle C-rank monsters. He tightened his grip. After all my injuries and pain, this is all I got. It's too small. Too little for the risk I take. He sighed. Earning money like this is, suddenly, a shout echoed across the room. Hey, everyone, there's another entrance here. The group gathered around the newly discovered cave. It was dark, deep, and eerie. Mr. Song looked at it carefully. The double lair. It's real. He summoned fire to light the path and walked in further. The tunnel twisted and pulsed like a living thing. Flames lit up the stone walls, revealing an ominous passage. Mr. Song turned around. Everyone, listen up. The gate doesn't close if the boss is still alive. Since this gate is still open, that means the boss is inside. Normally, we'd report back to our guild, but if another team finds the boss first, we lose everything. So I suggest we go kill the boss. The hunters exchanged uneasy glances. Should we vote? Someone asked. Yeah, Mr. Song agreed. Let's all vote. No complaints after the result. Hands went up. One by one, the votes came in. Yes. No, let's fight. I vote to go. I say no. Sorry. I don't want to go. The count was 8 against 8. Everyone turned to the last person who hadn't voted. All eyes fell on Jin-Woo. Mr. Song asked, How about you, Mr. Sung? Jin-Woo looked down, hand clenched. His thoughts raced. I don't have enough money. My sick mother. My sister will need college tuition soon. He thought of his family, his responsibilities. Then, with fierce resolve, he stood tall and shouted, I'm going. For my family. Just one more time. Let's do this. After a long march into the deep cave, the group of hunters finally started to grow uneasy. Are we going too far in? Someone asked nervously. How long have we been walking? Another questioned. About 40 minutes, came the response. They were reminded that the gate would close an hour after the boss is defeated, meaning they had only 20 minutes left before their way back could vanish. Jin-Woo approached the girl beside him. Hey, sorry, he muttered. She turned to him. About what? He looked apologetic. For making you come here after I voted yes, but she gently reassured him. I'm fine. So don't worry about me. Are you really okay? He asked again. She hesitated, then, with a serious face, said, To be honest, I am definitely not okay. Her anger exploded. Are you insane? You almost got stabbed in the heart. She reminded him how badly injured he was and how she barely healed him. And yet you still said yes? What the hell is wrong with you? Jin-Woo chuckled softly. Well, I only received minor cuts this time. I'm an earache. I might end up near death again. The healer stared at him, still annoyed. I'm sorry, he said. Then treat me to some food, she snapped back. Jin-Woo was speechless. Don't you want to eat with me? She teased, suddenly switching tones. Before he could respond, someone shouted, It's here. The boss room. Everyone rushed ahead to find a massive golden door glowing mysteriously. I've never seen a dungeon room with this kind of door before, someone observed. It's strange. Isn't this dangerous? One man whispered to another. Yeah, came the quiet reply. Still, Song Chi-yeol was determined. Are you going to return empty-handed after coming this far? I'll go alone if I have to, he declared boldly. Then everyone looked up. A gigantic statue loomed over them, dwarfing the rest. That's not the boss, right? Someone joked. No way, it's just a statue. But it's huge. As they looked around, one of the team members noticed strange markings. What is this? A magic seal. Mr. Song, you need to see this, someone shouted. There was something written on a stone slab near another strange statue. Let's see. Parthenon Temple's Commandments. The first rule read, Worship the Lord. Jin-Woo read aloud. Then came the second, Praise the Lord. The moment he said it, the huge statue's eye twitched. The statue, it moved. Someone whispered, I swear it looked at us. Third, Prove your faith. A chill filled the air. What is this feeling? Jin-Woo thought. Then they read the final line. Those who do not follow these commandments will never return alive. Suddenly, bang. A woman shouted, What do we do now? I can't take this anymore, yelled one of the men. Another hunter stood up and barked, You all are crazy. This was a mistake. I'm leaving. He stomped toward the door and declared, You can have the treasure. Good luck. But the moment he reached for the handle, Stop. Don't touch the handle. Song Chi-yeol screamed. But it was too late. Blades of light slashed from the statues. Blood splattered. The man was dead in an instant. Everyone froze in horror. The blade was now stained red, held by a once immobile statue. It moved. It's alive, someone shouted. The hell? We have to fight those. Jin-Woo stood there. Jin-Woo reflected quietly. This wasn't his first time facing death. He remembered getting lost during his first raid, then being attacked from behind by an E-rank monster and ending up hospitalized for weeks. He'd even nearly starved to death once, trapped in a dungeon. Every single time, he'd pushed through. Others traded magic cores for better gear. They wanted stronger monsters, more gold. But not him. He didn't have a good sword. It would just break. He didn't have a healer. Any serious injury could mean death. He always fought unequipped, underpowered, and unsupported. Outside the dungeon, people whispered behind his back. That brat got injured again. And in a D-rank dungeon? I feel bad for the healers stuck with him. Sitting alone, Jin-Woo was known by everyone now as the world's weakest hunter. Even though he was a hunter, they called him useless. He fought anyway, despite sneers, despite injuries, despite knowing that even one mistake could be fatal. He pushed himself through battle after battle. Maybe because, deep inside, he understood the fear of dying better than anyone else. Suddenly, a loud roar ripped through the chamber. The giant statue's eye sparked. Something was about to happen. Jin-Woo's instincts screamed. Everyone duck! He yelled at the top of his lungs. Without hesitation, he pulled Juhi to the ground and shielded her with his body. The light of destruction rained down. A pillar of divine light sliced through the room, vaporizing anything in its path. Explosions thundered, dust and debris flying. It felt like the end. When the light faded, the survivors stirred. A hunter cried, "Wake up!" Others looked around in horror. "You okay?" "Yeah, you?" Many didn't answer. Some didn't move at all. A hunter screamed beside a lifeless body. It wasn't just a few, many were gone. One survivor whispered, "If Jin-Woo hadn't yelled, we'd all be dead right now." Jin-Woo groaned, still covering Ju-hee, protecting her as best he could. But Ju-hee had frozen in panic, trembling uncontrollably. "Miss Ju-hee," someone shouted, trying to reach her. Mr. Song barked orders, "Don't move. Stay still." He explained urgently. If anyone stood, the statue would attack again. They had to stay low, stay calm. Somehow, in the smoke and fear, people started whispering. "Mr. Song, Ju-hee can't handle fear. She's a B-rank healer, but can't even handle basic raids." Jin-Woo stayed silent, knowing that was true. But even he was shaken. That wasn't a basic attack. That wasn't a basic dungeon. Mr. Song looked around. Only those who stood died. Everyone else survived. He turned to Jin-Woo. "You knew that would happen, didn't you? That's why you yelled." Jin-Woo replied, "No. I just felt it. It was dangerous." Suddenly someone pointed. "Sir, your arm." Mr. Song clutched his arm. Blood dripped freely. "I'll be fine, just stop the bleeding." He turned to Jin-Woo again. "Sung, what rank do you think this dungeon is?" Jin-Woo could only say, "I've never been in anything higher than D." Mr. Song shook his head. "I've experienced a B-rank raid once or twice, and even those didn't have monsters this strong." He looked toward the giant throne. That statue, it's not A rank. Maybe not even S rank." His gaze was fixed on the giant deity statue. "This is something else." Everyone looked toward the commandments carved into stone. First, worship the Lord. Second, praise the Lord. Third, prove your faith. Those who don't follow these commandments will never return alive. Jin-Woo whispered, "Mr. Song, the Lord. I think it means that one, right?" All eyes turned to the enormous throne, the glowing eyes of the stone deity staring back. In that terrifying stillness, Mr. Song murmured, "Killing all of them would take too much time." 10 years ago, everything changed. A mysterious phenomenon known as the Gate appeared, a glowing portal that connected our world to another, darker one. This strange tunnel was not just a passage, but a catalyst that altered the very structure of reality. Since then, the world has never been the same. And from this chaos, new beings emerged, hunters. These were ordinary people at first, but when exposed to the Gate's magic, they awakened with powers. Hunters were gifted the strength to battle monsters on the other side. But not all hunters were the same. Their power levels remained fixed after awakening, and I, Sung Jin-Woo, was at the very bottom, an E-rank hunter. A heavy, silent threat hung over us, embodied by the massive stone statue sitting on the throne. Its glowing eyes stared down like a god judging our every breath. Mr. Song clutched his bleeding arm. He tried to stay calm, but the wound wouldn't stop. "There's nothing we can do now, is there?" he asked me grimly. "I only brought 3 healers because I thought this would be over quickly." The cost of underestimating this dungeon was clear now. One hunter had been annihilated so completely that not even his body remained. Another sat broken, whispering to himself, "Save me. I want to live." The trauma had destroyed him. And Ju-hee, despite being a B-rank healer, was frozen in panic, overwhelmed by fear. Mr. Song glanced around and muttered, "We can't heal if the healers are too terrified to function." He looked up at the massive statue again. "I think it'd be better to just stay still, against something like him." Trying to make sense of the chaos, Mr. Song turned to me and said, "When the situation clears a bit, let's try running." But I knew better. Even if we got past that statue, we'd still have to survive the beam-firing one near the door. "He never intended to let us leave," I muttered. One of the hunters suddenly sprang to his feet. "I finally joined a big guild. I can't die here," he shouted in panic, running toward the door. "What are you doing?" "Don't move," someone screamed, but it was too late. "Yeah, I can do it," he declared, confident in his speed. For a moment, it looked like he might make it. He dashed with incredible speed, dodging past traps and beams. "I'll go through the door in an instant," he shouted. But as he reached the center of the room, the survivors were stunned. Screams rang out as the horrifying truth set in. Those statues could kill at any moment, effortlessly. "These guys can kill us whenever they feel like it," someone whispered in terror. Mr. Song clenched his teeth. It would be easier than squashing a bug. Then why weren't they attacking? Why hadn't they already wiped everyone out? That's when I noticed something strange. The guard statue by the door attacked only when someone got close. The large beam statue fired only when someone moved. And the throne statue? It just watched? A realization hit me. They attack in a pattern. My eyes widened. There's a rule in this room. Suddenly, I remembered the stone tablet behind us. The commandments. I rushed over. The commandments of Carthanon. I shouted, Mr. Song Chi-il, what was the first commandment? He was confused. Commandment. Yes, the first one. He hesitated, then said, Worship the Lord? I nodded. The Lord, huh? My eyes shot toward the throne statue. That had to be it. That statue was the Lord and the commandments? I dropped to my knees. Sir, there's a rule in this dungeon. We need to follow it. Song stared at me. What are you doing? If I'm correct, I whispered as I slowly got up, moving toward the statue. Song's face twisted in horror. Are you crazy? But deep down, he knew something had changed. As I walked, I could feel the statue watching me. It didn't move. It didn't attack. My theory might be right. Those aren't the eyes of a man who seeks death, Song murmured as he watched me. I approached the statue and stopped. It doesn't attack those who move. The massive stone statue, the very embodiment of fear and divine judgment, continues to stare straight ahead, glowing ominously. The survivors are frozen. Among them, Sung Jin-Woo breathes heavily, battered and bloody, yet his mind races with clarity. He realizes something crucial. He lowers his head slightly and crouches, a test of survival. The statue does not move. His theory was correct. The statue only attacks when someone rises past a certain height. Sweat drips down his face as he confirms it in his mind. This wasn't a monster acting on instinct. This was a test. A trial? He turns to the others and shouts, Sir, there's a rule in this dungeon. His companion looks at him in disbelief, struggling to understand. But Jin-Woo's eyes are sharp, not the eyes of a man who's lost hope. He stares down the statue directly. I finally understand the meaning of the first commandment. He cries. He yells to everyone. Everyone, bow down to the statue. Confused and panicked voices rise among the group. Sung Jin-Woo, have you gone mad? What are you talking about? Jin-Woo calmly answers, Yes. I figured something out. He explains the truth. The statue only attacks when you move past a certain height. Without hesitation, Jin-Woo lowers himself to the floor, pressing his head down. Others glance at one another in fear but follow. Slowly, the entire group kneels and bows. A wave of silence follows. Then the statue's glow fades slightly. For a moment, nothing happens. One of the hunters dares to hope. We get to live? Another whispers, we can finally get out of here? By just bowing? Jin-Woo, still on the ground, watches the statue carefully. But suddenly, its lips curl into a terrifying smile. Something is wrong? Jin-Woo's heart drops. No, not yet. Too soon, the others begin to rise. And then, someone yells in horror, Sung Jin-Woo, don't you have any other plans? Even if you ask me, Jin-Woo replies, I don't know what to do either. The statue steps forward again, lips stretched wide into a sinister grin. The pressure intensifies. Suddenly, a realization hits Jin-Woo. This dungeon follows rules. The first was to worship the Lord. The second must be to praise the Lord. That has to be the key. A man steps forward boldly. I'll give it a shot. I was in the church choir. He approaches with confidence. If it's singing and praising, I've got this. He sings solemnly, walking toward the statue. Make me anew. Pour your graces, all will wash away. Everyone watches in silence. Jin-Woo's eyes narrow. Is it working? Another whispers, he's slowing down. Is the statue calming? No, Jin-Woo mutters. That's... The statue suddenly lifts its foot, massive and crushing, and slams it down. The brave volunteer is obliterated in an instant. Blood sprays across the room. Jin-Woo gasps in realization, that's praising the wrong god. Screams pierced the air, shouted terrified survivors as they scattered in every direction. One man yelled, Run, while dragging another with him. Panic gripped the room as more stone feet thundered downward, chasing the desperate hunters. Another hunter screamed, Help me, while others frantically dashed towards safety. A female hunter collapsed, crying uncontrollably as a giant foot loomed above her. She sobbed, but there was no pause, only death raining from the sky. Stone feet smashed the ground again with earth-shaking force. Another hunter barked orders. It's dangerous to group up. Separate for now. But a younger one shouted back, eyes wide with worry. But I can't leave Miss Jui behind. He turned to glance back as others sprinted away. A man in a green-striped jacket panted heavily, pushing himself to keep moving. That man was Mr. Bach. His thoughts raced. I can't die here. His memory flashed. His wife had begged him to quit being a hunter. How about you quit being a hunter and find a safer job? She had said. Holding her pregnant belly, she added, we already have one child. You need to make more money for their sake. Statues moved with mechanical grace. These statues, someone realized in horror. The stone knight growled in eerie devotion. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Another figure screamed while running. How do we praise a god like him? And then, looking back at the horrifying figure on the altar, they cried, that's the devil. Their minds tried to comprehend the deadly layout. Behind us stand the guards. In front is the colossal statue. They attack when we get too close to them. With cold clarity, the survivors began identifying the weapons. An axe, a spear, a sword, a hammer, a flail, a bow, and even an instrument. A brutal scream broke out. My arm! One of them had his limbs severed by one of the statues. Another panicked voice shouted, we can't get closer, and we can't run. What do we do? Then someone noticed. The statue holding an instrument wasn't moving. Do they attack with instruments too? He thought. The guards only attack when you get too close. And once you do, they move based on predetermined motions. If the statues holding instruments don't attack, then everyone, run towards the statues with instruments, he shouted. It was risky, but it was a chance. They scattered, zigzagging toward the harmless-looking statues. One person exclaimed in shock, it started playing? Indeed, the statue lifted its bow and began playing the instrument. Melodic notes floated in the air like glowing wisps. One hunter crouched beneath it, gasping for breath, overwhelmed but alive. Another wept, overcome with grief and rage. You bastard, he cursed under his breath, eyes locked on the colossal statue. Elsewhere, Jin-Woo and Jui found a safe statue. Hurry up and start playing, he begged the statue. Come on, but it remained motionless. Why? Jui whispered, trembling in confusion. She cried, wait, could it be that two people can't stay underneath the same statue? Then, chaos resumed. Someone moved to another statue. Don't move. It won't be safe if you stay there, they yelled. But it was too late. Jin-Woo ran again, his heart pounding. He dodged around statues, his mind focused. Just a little more? Then, slam, he was knocked off course. It's not that way. Someone shouted in panic, but the warning came too late. Jin-Woo had run under the wrong statue. It wasn't an instrument, but a shield. The hammer of death descended. Jui screamed from afar, Jin-Woo. But Jin-Woo was alive, battered, bruised, but breathing. He crawled forward, desperate. Instrument, please, an instru. He looked up at the altar. The monstrous statue's face grinned with inhuman delight. If there truly is a god, please, elsewhere. Another scene shimmered, a vision of life and death. The delicate balance he held onto was unraveling. I was holding onto a thread that kept me from dying, but now it feels like even that may break. Suddenly, something stirred. The angel statue's eyes opened. Its mouth parted and began to chant. Glowing blue light surged around it. Jin-Woo looked up, his bloody face trembling. The statue sang louder. Others began to sing too, light dancing around the room. Every note, every sound, felt divine and deadly. Energy danced toward the central figure, the devil statue. The atmosphere froze. And then, Jin-Woo, are you okay? Someone asked desperately. Yeah, he replied weakly. Jui gasped, speechless at what she saw. He replied, confused. Then he looked down. Oh, my leg, he said in horror. Chapter end here. For more, like and subscribe. Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince Y. The chapter begins. Back in the control center, an employee taps furiously at a keyboard, bringing up screens of raid reports and incident data. He stares at the monitor in disbelief. Sung Jin-Woo has made it through 3 deadly incidents, he whispers. No, not just survived. he came out untouched. First was the double dungeon. Second, the slaughter of Huang Dongsuk's team. And now, this latest string of solo dungeon clears. And now he's connected to Eugene Ho, the heir to Eugene Constructions. Could he be a reawakened hunter? The operator wonders aloud. He's leveling up. Inside the gleaming walls of the Hunter Association HQ, two men in suits walk briskly through a hallway, their conversation hushed but urgent. One of them, clearly higher in authority, speaks with a frown etched deep across his brow. There's no other explanation for it. Chief on Sangman mutters, voice laced with concern. Each time, it was a major accident. And yet, he survived. His colleague listens intently as On continues. The double dungeon. The Red Gate. The murder of Huang Dongsuk's entire party. On recalls the report. A C-rank magician. A B-rank healer. And a B-rank assassin. That party should have been formidable. But the magician and healer were both slaughtered, and it wasn't the monsters. It was surgical. Tactical? Only the assassin, Huang Dongsuk, had the strength to deal that kind of damage, but he was also found dead? The pieces don't fit unless someone else was involved. Someone stronger than all of them? On's eyes narrow. Sung Jin-Woo was the only other survivor. The implication hangs heavy between them. Hunter Sung Jin-Woo might be reawakened. Elsewhere, in the depths of a dungeon, claws scrape against stone. A monstrous beast lets out a roar, lunging forward with fangs bared. The ground trembles under its charge. But standing calmly in the path of this terror is Sung Jin-Woo, expression unreadable, eyes glowing with cold blue fury. His figure blurs, and before the beast can even blink, as a barrage of critical strikes tears into its body. Jin-Woo moves like a phantom, his daggers dancing in his hands, merciless and precise. One final blow lands, and the beast falls. A screen appears before him. You have leveled up. Jin-Woo exhales, a faint smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. This seems good, he mutters. But then, another notification flashes. The player has reached the required level.
The camouflage skill in the runestone I got from Kang Tae-shik. It's a lot more efficient than my other skills. Requirements? A job change quest.
Jin-Woo blinks. He opens his status window. His level now reads 40. Still, his job? None. His eyes narrow thoughtfully. Meanwhile, at another raid site, Chief on Sangman stands before a gate surrounded by lounging hunters. The atmosphere is oddly casual. Is this a playground? He asks, baffled. Hunters mill about, none seeming prepared to enter. Among them, a small figure in a red hoodie catches his eye. You shouldn't be near a gate, On says to her. It's dangerous here. But the girl pulls back her hood. I'm a hunter, she replies defiantly. His eyes widen. You're a high schooler, aren't you? She glares at him. Does it matter? One of the other hunters leans in and grins. Sung Jin-Woo, if my guess is right, you're a comet. A talent that only appears once in a generation. A sudden ripple flows through the air. The raid party is returning. On's assistant steps up. Sir, should we clear your schedule for tomorrow? On frowns. What's the point? We've already reserved the dungeons. But if we don't enter, the reservation will expire. He thinks for a moment, then nods. Leave it. Let it expire. He looks up as Jin-Woo steps out of the gate, calm and composed. The chief walks forward. Hunter Sung Jin-Woo. I'm chief of the second department at the White Tiger Guild. Jin-Woo's brows raise slightly. White Tiger Guild? On smiles politely. I believe you've heard of us, one of South Korea's top guilds. Moments later, the two sit across from each other at a cafe. On folds his hands, leaning in with a confident smile. I'll be direct. We want to recruit you into the White Tiger Guild. We're prepared to offer you twice the amount Eugene Architecture promised. And if you perform well, the pay can increase. Sung Jin-Woo leaned forward slightly, his gaze sharp and unwavering. How much is the White Tiger Guild's building worth for you to make an offer like this? The negotiator blinked, caught off guard. Excuse me, he asked, trying to regain composure. Jin-Woo didn't flinch. You just mentioned twice the offer from Eugene. That would be 60 billion won. The man chuckled nervously. We're not using all the floors, but yes, the building is worth around 30 billion. And you want to hand that over to me? Jin-Woo asked, his tone cutting. The negotiator stammered, sweat beading on his brow. I'm not sure what you're talking about. And then came the realization. 30 billion, he gasped, standing up in shock. The people in the cafe turned to stare. Sung Jin-Woo remained calm. Eugene's offered sum was a 30 billion won building. If you're offering twice their price, doesn't that mean you'll be offering a 60 billion won building? The negotiator gulped. Is he bluffing? There's no way to confirm it. Jin-Woo calmly pulled out his phone. If you think I'm bluffing, I can confirm it for you. His phone hovered above the table, the negotiator's face paling. He had offered the amount too soon, without confirming the truth. Such a high price goes past my abilities, the man admitted. If you give me some time, I can negotiate with the guild's higher-ups, he added quickly. Jin-Woo stood. Then we're finished here. The man panicked. Did I rush it too much? If I had just gotten proper details, he clenched his fist in regret. How did you obtain this information about me? Jin-Woo's voice echoed coldly. Did you research my background? A cold sweat broke down the negotiator's back. Stealth, he whispered, now fully aware of the implications. Don't turn around, Jin-Woo said, voice low. The man dared not move. He really is a reawakened person, even using stealth like this? He tried to regain his footing. I didn't order the research on purpose. Someone in the guild noticed someone clearing C-rank dungeons at an absurd pace. 3 major accidents, 3 survivals. No coincidence. All roads led to Jin-Woo? The negotiator admitted, considering all this, Eugene must have seen your skill and reported it to his father's guild. How many people know about me? Jin-Woo asked. Just me and one subordinate, the man answered quickly. Jin-Woo's gaze narrowed. Too many people already noticed. If rumors start spreading, can I take it as your responsibility? Jin-Woo asked flatly. The man smiled awkwardly. I'm required to report to Guild Master Hyung-Shik, but I don't want to die. Si-Cheol added. I'll warn my subordinate too. We'll keep your secret. Thank you, Jin-Woo said. Then, with a breath of resignation, he folded his arms. Looks like we're a nuisance to the White Tiger Guild after all. Unfortunately, the man replied, we don't have plans to stop. That's a problem, Si-Cheol laughed. We're running out of gates to train new recruits. Then how about we make a deal? Jin-Woo offered, raising an eyebrow. The man blinked. Deal. We'll sell 3 of our C-rank gate reservations. Special offer, only for you, Jin-Woo said. A door-to-door salesman now? The man joked nervously. It could create conflict with other guilds, he added. Jin-Woo replied, let's say 300 million each. 300? That's more than we'll make. The man exclaimed. 300 million is a bit difficult. How about 200 million? Okay then, Jin-Woo said with a sly smile. The deal was done. 600 million for 3 gates. Oh, and this is a gift from me, Jin-Woo added. Would you open your mouth? In an instant, a flash of light hit the negotiator's cheek and healed the old scar on his face. My wound? What? What is this ability? The fact I showed you stealth and healing, Jin-Woo said. Can I take that as a sign of your trust? If it means you'll keep my secret. From across the cafe, someone called out, Chief. What was that light just now? Si-Cheol replied, I think we've met a much more formidable person than we thought. Meanwhile, outside, Jin-Woo was already walking away, speaking into his phone. 600 million. Just like you said. To think a cancelled gate could sell for this much, the operator on the other end muttered. To whom did you sell it? It's a trade secret, Jin-Woo answered with a grin. Back in the office, chaos had erupted. There are no C-rank gates left in our area, someone yelled. All prices are below 10 million won, another exclaimed. Could it be? Eugene Ho's team hasn't reserved a single gate today. The truth clicked. I think we've been had, Chief. They had no intention of paying tomorrow's fee. I failed to scout Sung Jin-Woo and even got scammed. His phone buzzed. You have a message. Unknown number? Jin-Woo's message read, This is Sung Jin-Woo. With this, I'll pretend you never did a background check on me. The negotiator sighed. He's a tough one. Still, we got his number. That's enough for now. The money we used today wasn't much to the White Tiger Guild. He glanced at the golden skyline outside. I might get in trouble with the guild master though. Meanwhile, Sung Jin-Woo stood in a quiet forest wearing a dark tracksuit. Well,
all right. Time to get started. A job change. Interesting. I'm getting the sense that the real game starts now.
After some time,
I don't know this dungeon's rank. I can't heal myself, and running away isn't an option. This is really dangerous. I won't be able to leave until I've cleared here, so I'd better conserve mana. I haven't even completed my daily quest today. I'm cutting it a bit close.
He moved deeper into the shadows, eyes narrowing as a group of knights approached. But first, let's take care of these muscleheads who rely on armor. He snuffed the torch out and slipped into the dark. One strike. Another. Precise, silent, deadly. Armor shattered. You have slain a knight? This armor looks ridiculous. Jin-Woo chuckled, equipping it. Thank God it doesn't show up visually. I'd look like a joke. From a leather pouch he retrieved 30,000 gold. His total rose to 863,400. Not bad. Then, a flash, another knight down. But this one had been cloaked. Stealth? Even monsters can use it, he exclaimed. Suddenly, fireballs streaked through the dark. A magician too? And the same blaze magic as Zhou Guohuan. It struck him, the realization. It's repeating the raid from last time. Knights, archers, magicians, all the enemy types he'd faced before, all coming back in some twisted simulation. I'll need different stats to counter them. Strength for knights. Sense for assassins. Vitality for magic. I can't rely on skills. I'll conserve mana and fight them raw, he thought, dodging another flurry of attacks. More and more enemies poured in, fatigue rising. Fatigue. 60. If I don't stop, I'll collapse. He fell to one knee, gasping. Just need a moment to rest. But they didn't give him that chance. A barrage of arrows whistled past. Jin-Woo leapt aside, fighting back exhaustion. He retrieved another item, water bottle filled with unknown water. A sip. Relief washed over him. Fatigue dropped. He stood, armor shimmering. High knight's chest plate, gauntlets, archer's gloves, magician's robe, assassin's boots. A complete set. This should carry me to the next stage. He entered a massive chamber with towering crimson doors. Even with all my level ups, I still feel it. A chill clawed at his spine. This is the boss room.
What kind of beast awaits me on the other side of these doors?
His armor, ornate and deadly, reflects no warmth, only the promise of battle. A massive black sword is casually dropped from his hand, its impact cracking the floor beneath. He stands tall, unmoving, like a statue forged for war. His presence alone radiates intimidation, and his title appears above him like an omen, Blood-Red Commander Igris. From the distance, Sung Jin-Woo narrows his eyes. A dark red name. It's definitely different from the others, he mutters, recognizing the danger in front of him. Igris descends the throne's platform like a judge coming to deliver execution. A knight that protects the empty throne, Jin-Woo thinks, gripping his daggers tighter. The battlefield has shifted, and it's clear this opponent is unlike any he's faced before. Suddenly, with terrifying swiftness, Igris charges. It's coming. Jin-Woo shouts in his mind, leaping into action. The blood-red commander swings his colossal sword with a force that carves the air itself, narrowly missing Jin-Woo and slicing a pillar in half like it were made of paper. The sheer pressure of the strike sends tremors through the hall. Jin-Woo barely evades and launches a counterstrike. His daggers spark against Igris's armor, but the blades don't pierce. It's not penetrating, he grits his teeth. What an insanely strong bastard. Igris retaliates with devastating force, his sword cleaving through the rubble and sending Jin-Woo flying backward. The floor explodes beneath him, hurling debris and dust into the air. Before he can recover, another flurry of magical purple slashes rains down, nearly catching him midair. Jin-Woo crashes to the ground but rolls to his feet, panting and bruised. His breaths are ragged, but his eyes remain locked on his opponent. He glances up. There stands Igris, unwavering, unyielding. The throne looms behind the Red Knight, and the message is clear. This is not just a test. This is survival. Jin-Woo's feet scrape against the stone floor as he shifts back into a fighting stance. The Red Knight, Igris, stands silently calm and cold, his heavy sword resting in the ground, steam rising from where it struck. But then, slowly, deliberately, with a cold clink, he lifts it free. Chivalry. Jin-Woo scoffs under his breath, watching the knight refuse to strike while he's down. You're not taking me seriously. His brows furrow as frustration mixes with adrenaline. Fine. I'll make you. Suddenly, Igris moves like a crimson blur, his armored form flashing forward. Jin-Woo's eyes widen. Too fast. The knight appears in front of him in the blink of an eye, slamming a fist directly into Jin-Woo's stomach. The impact launches him across the room like a rag doll, the stone wall behind him cracking as his body smashes into it. Jin-Woo hits the floor hard, but quickly pushes himself up, blood at the corner of his mouth. He doesn't even have time to react before Igris is upon him again, this time slamming his gauntlet fist into the ground where Jin-Woo stood just seconds before. Dust erupts, and rubble flies everywhere. Jin-Woo flips back, barely avoiding the crushing blow. He stumbles but remains standing, panting, bruised, but not broken. He glances down. His arm is trembling from the last hit, even though he blocked it. I guarded that hit, but it feels like I still lost around 500 health, he thinks, clenching his arm. If I didn't have armor, then I'd be dead. Igris steps forward again, weaponless, but still terrifying. Even without the sword, his power is overwhelming. Jin-Woo's expression hardens. It's still insanely strong, even without its sword. If I keep taking direct hits, I won't come out alive. He stares down the Red Knight, watching the red plume of its helmet wave gently in the dark. How do I, he thinks, his breath shaky. How do I even put up a decent fight against this monster? There's no time to reflect. A system alert appears before his eyes. Skill, Sprint has been activated. Movement speed will increase by 50%. Mana will be consumed every minute. Even if I lose in strength, he tells himself, I still have speed. His form blurs as he accelerates. He sidesteps a strike from Igris and ducks beneath a sweeping arm. He dances between Igris's swings, his eyes glowing with resolve, his body moving on instinct. Igris roars, swinging with deadly precision. Jin-Woo leaps, barely evading a blow that dents the stone. But the knight doesn't slow down. Another punch comes flying. Jin-Woo blocks, only to be sent crashing back again. He skids across the floor, coughing blood. A cold ding echoes in his ear. Alarm, your HP has dropped below 30%. Emergency passive skill Tenacity has activated. Damage taken will be reduced by 50%. Jin-Woo's eyes flare open. If my defense increased due to my passive skill, I still have a chance. He grits his teeth, dragging himself to his feet. I can't give up. With a furious cry, he charges back in, his movements wild but determined. He feints to the left, pivots right, and plunges his dagger into a chink of Igris's armor. The knight recoils slightly, not in pain, but in acknowledgement. Its glowing eyes narrow? Jin-Woo sees the shift and smirks. Sung Jin-Woo stood hunched, chest heaving, blood trickling down his lips as he gasped for air. His vision blurred, and every breath felt like a battle in itself. With trembling legs, he staggered forward and collapsed onto the ancient throne at the end of the hall. Steam rose from his bruised frame as he finally exhaled. Victory? Survival? He wasn't sure what to call it. But one thing was clear, it wasn't over yet. Still seated, Jin-Woo barely lifted his gaze. Towering before him stood the blood-red Commander Igris, unflinching and unreadable behind his crimson helm. For a moment, the knight simply stared, silent, foreboding. Then,
not yet. I haven't lost it! I can't let you take this from me! I only won because I got lucky. Items? 4 at once? This is way more than usual. Wait, is it giving me this teleportation stone because the quest isn't over yet? I knew it. Of course there's more.
one by one, massive knight-like constructs emerged, blades in hand, their bodies flickering with an otherworldly aura. The countdown began. The longer you last, the more points you'll collect. Points that determine the strength of your new job. Jin-Woo's eyes widened. This wasn't just about survival. It was a test to earn the strongest path forward. 1 second passed. 2. The first enemy stepped forward, and Jin-Woo tightened his fists. He launched into combat, slicing through the knights with clean precision. Yet before he could catch his breath, the ground trembled. A robed magician raised a hand, casting detection. Purple energy shot forward and locked onto Jin-Woo, piercing even through his stealth skill. He cursed under his breath. It detected me. Even in stealth, he activated bloodlust. Before he could react, a wave of armored enemies rushed in. He tore through their ranks, but the strain was evident. Mana drained. Time slipped by, weakening the enemy's stats by half for a single minute. He pushed forward in a violent flurry. This was his window. I have to deal with as many as possible now. Each second felt like an eternity. Blood spattered the walls. His own health bar plummeted. His body screamed in pain. Perseverance activated to dull the agony, but it wasn't enough. They came faster than he could kill them. He gritted his teeth. I used too much mana. I took this too lightly. His hand slipped into his pocket, fingers brushing the smooth green surface of the hearthstone. His escape. His failure. If he used it, it would all be over. The quest, the rewards, the chance to rise above. He looked at the timer. Just 5 minutes had passed. Only 5. He had to make a choice. Fight or flee. With a roar, he tossed the hearthstone back. He wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. But the next attack came crashing down like a tidal wave. He was thrown across the floor, sliding to a halt as more knights closed in. Breathing ragged, blood on his lips, he stood again. He stared them down. It can't end like this. Not here. Not now. This moment, this quest, it was his chance. He clenched his fist. Such a precious chance. Flashes of his past pierced through the chaos. People mocking him, calling him the weakest. A nobody. Someone too frail to matter. A hunter who survived only because he ran faster than his comrades. His failures, his shame, all of it burned behind his eyes. I longed for the highest place because I was at rock bottom. And now, here he was, standing before a sea of enemies, blades ready to tear him down. But he didn't run. He screamed, pure, defiant rage erupting from his chest. A primal cry that shook the halls. He charged headfirst, breaking through the crowd. His daggers became a blur, steel slicing against steel. One knight fell, then another. Dozens swarmed him, but he fought like a man possessed. Voices from the past echoed. His nickname is the world's weakest. He's weak enough to get hurt in an E-rank dungeon. That guy can't even kill one monster properly. Why don't you just rest, sung Jin-Woo. Rest? That word twisted in his mind like poison. Wasn't that all your fault? A figure emerged from the dark.
E-rank hunter Sung Jin-Woo. That's all you'll ever be. Courage is meaningless if you don't know your limits. Shut up. What's this? Is the quest almost over? I guess they think it'd be a shame to let you die here. Later.
After that,
is this the penalty zone? I didn't finish the daily quest. Perfect timing. I didn't think I was gonna make it out of there. Shop. My fatigue level is dropping, but my health isn't recovering. Since I'm in the penalty zone, maybe I can heal using my level up rewards. I feel better than ever right now.
ahead of him, the desert quakes. Something stirs beneath the sand. A swarm of monstrous centipede-like creatures bursts forth from the dunes, colossal, towering horrors that shake the sky with their screeches. He stares, unfazed. The question is, will they help me level up? The answer comes in a roar. He leaps into battle, eyes blazing. Are you sure? He growls. See you. A storm of limbs and fangs crashes toward him. If we survive until the end. Alarm. Penalty quest. Survive goal. Survive until the time runs out. Remaining time. For hours, as the beasts swarm, Jin-Woo charges with no hesitation. Grit in his jaw. Fire in his heart. If the pain doesn't kill me, he vows, it will only make me stronger. The dark silhouette of an apartment complex looms in the night. Inside, a sleepy figure stirs, Gina, yawning and rubbing her eyes. Ugh, what a strange dream, she mutters, stepping into the hallway, the cool air brushing against her skin. The clock ticks. It's already late. Is he not back yet? Is he still working this late? Or maybe he got a girlfriend. She muses with a sly smirk before diving back under the covers. No. There's no way he could ever get one. Snuggled into her bed, she whispers to herself, I definitely told him there's a parent-teacher meeting today. He'll come, right? Meanwhile, far from the comfort of home, Jin-Woo
I can use my level up rewards and buy potions to keep recovering in the penalty zone. 3 minutes till I get back to the job change quest zone. Shop. I need a stronger weapon. Found it. Using this will be more effective. Now all I have left is this item. A skill that doesn't require mana? The skill sounds very useful based on the description. This is my last chance. Is this everything I can do to prepare? I guess the rest is up to luck.
And now, the true test begins. In front of him is a vast horde of armored knights, dozens, maybe hundreds, flooding the hallway like an unstoppable army. Jin-Woo narrows his eyes. Their numbers grew immensely within a few hours. He rushes forward. His new blade flashes red and black as he tears through the first wave of enemies' steel clatters. Sparks fly. The knights fall, but something isn't right. There's something discomforting about this stage, Jin-Woo mutters. I don't feel my level rising at all even when I'm up against these numbers. He reflects, in the penalty zone, I killed the centipedes and leveled up. Even Commander Igris gave me experience. The system said that healing from level ups would be restricted, but not leveling itself. He notices the magician units, hooded figures in the back rows, glowing with dark energy, but they've yet to attack. All this time they've been casting, but never targeted me directly? Then what magic could they be casting? He wonders. A debuff? Curse magic? No. I can't feel anything like that. Then it hits him. Summoning magic? Realization dawns as he watches knights pour endlessly from the gate. As time passes, the knights appear from the gate and increase their numbers. He grits his teeth. No matter how many I strike down, they won't give me experience. These aren't normal monsters. They're summoned ones. The summoners were the last ones that came out of the gate. Jin-Woo lunges toward the robed figures. His blade glows with energy. Magicians. He cuts them down one after another. You have slain a magician. A shadow rises and swirls around him as a new alert appears. Skill, dagger throw, has been learned. In fact, it seems like the knights were being summoned through the gate by the magicians, he mutters, panting. This is not the end. I have to find the remaining magicians. He vanishes into stealth. Skill, stealth, active, 200 mana. But the magicians begin casting detection spells. Magician is using skill, detection. Jin-Woo lands silently behind one of them. You may have found my position, he whispers with a deadly grin. But thanks to that, I found yours as well. He surveys the room. There are 5 magicians remaining. The final panel displays his arsenal item, Night Killer, tier, Class B, a dagger made to tear down knight armor. Plus 75 attack. Effect, plus 24% damage against heavy armor. Skill, Dominator's Touch, control objects without touching them. Skill, Dagger Throw, 30 mana. Accuracy and damage improve as level increases. He shot through the air like a bullet, bursting through the darkened corridor, landing directly in front of his prey. One clean motion was all it took. You have slain a magician. 5 left, he whispered grimly. His breath steadied. His grip tightened. Then, impact. From behind, shadows twisted as a new force surged into the room. A golem, massive, stone-plated, and seething with raw magical power. He launched himself forward, slipping between the giant's swings, rolling under a smashing fist, narrowly avoiding the crater left in the ground. Dust and debris flew upward, But Jin-Woo remained laser-focused, a single mistake, and he'd be flattened. The creature lunged again, but this time Jin-Woo leapt, his dagger flashing in a wide arc. The number of enemies had dropped, but in exchange, their defensive toughness had skyrocketed. They had traded numbers for resilience. He saw his chance. Now's the time. Jin-Woo dove forward, blades out. One magician fell with a scream. Then another. Then another. You have slain a magician. Their magical formations crumbled around him, the violet glow flickering out like dying embers when the last body hit the ground.
It's over. I can finally get a job. Wait, I'm being assigned. I don't get to choose? Based on my current stats, I'll probably be an attack-based fighter, or an agility-based assassin. I could even be a tank with my health stats. Wait, what's going on? This is my job? Necromancer is a subcategory of the mage class. They're classified as dark mages that command an army of the undead. Huh. I guess I do have a choice. I decline. A hidden class? I wouldn't be so indecisive if I had the option to try out this necromancer job. I can probably assume they both have similar abilities. But unlike these mages, I have fighting skills. If I become a mage who can not only fight, but also summon an army to command, I might be able to clear high-ranking dungeons all by myself.
The power wasn't just overwhelming. It was tangible, electric in the air around him. Shadows trembled beneath his feet. This wasn't solo leveling anymore. Jin-Woo looked around the battlefield filled with fallen enemies. Shadows drifted over the corpses like smoke, called by instinct. A new prompt appeared.
A designated command. Arise.
Shadow Infantry. Shadow Magicians. 27 infantry, 3 magicians. But only 30 could be summoned. He saved only the most valuable. And then his thoughts turned towards something even more daring. What if I could obtain the shadow of an A or S rank hunter? And there it was. The red-armored corpse of the Knight Commander. Blood-red Igris, a high-level monster. A general among undead. Jin-Woo moved closer.
What if I made this guy part of my army? Knight Commander Igris the Red. Arise. Arise. Why don't you stop guarding an empty throne and protect the leader that stands before you? Arise. You are now simply Igris.
Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe. Welcome back to our channel 2. 17 Prince. The chapter begins. The cold sound of chains echoed as the handcuffs were finally removed from the prisoner's wrists. One of them sighed in relief, rubbing his sore arms. "That's better," he muttered. But the bitterness of captivity still lingered. Another prisoner, visibly frustrated, snapped at the guards. "Are you allowed to treat us like slaves? Huh?" He was immediately shut down with a firm "shut it." A calm, firm voice cut through the tension. A man in a suit stepped forward, Kong Tae-shik, an official from the Hunter Monitoring Division. "You've all heard the explanation," he said. "I'll be keeping a close eye on them, so don't worry too much." Then, glancing around, he asked, "So, who's going to lead the raid today?" One of the older men stepped forward, Song Chi-yeol, a former raid team leader. "I'll do it," he said quietly but confidently. Tae-shik nodded. "Then I'll leave it to you." Chi-yeol turned to face Sung Jin-Woo and asked respectfully, "Are you okay with me being the leader?" Jin-Woo nodded with no hesitation. "Of course," he replied calmly. Chi-yeol bowed his head deeply. "Then, give me another chance." Jin-Woo looked at him, surprised. "Mister." Chi-yeol took a deep breath, emotion tightening his throat. "If it was my fault that 11 people died, then it was thanks to you that 6 people survived. I bear the most responsibility for failing to protect them." He bowed even lower. "When I bow, I'm thanking you on behalf of all the hunters who lived." He lifted his eyes, sincere and humble. "Sung, thank you." One of the guards watching the exchange spoke up softly, "Mister, raise your head." Chi-yeol straightened up and turned to one of the convicts in the group. "Kim, you have no complaints, right? Even if I'm the leader this time?" The convict, simply known as Kim, grunted. "Do whatever you like." The moment passed, but a new tension brewed. Suddenly, a high-pitched goblin screech pierced the corridor. Goblin lunged toward them from the dark. The hunters reacted instantly. One convict punched the goblin straight into the wall. "Do they want to get beaten up?" he growled, cracking his knuckles. Song Chi-yeol launched himself into the fray, fists and fire flying with brutal force. He shouted, spinning midair and smashing another goblin. "Try coming at us in packs." Flames erupted from his palms, engulfing several goblins at once. The magic was intense, far stronger than what a normal C-rank hunter should be capable of. One of the newer hunters watching him gasped, Song Chi-yeol. "I don't think he's a normal C-rank." Elsewhere in the skirmish, Kim got mocked by another convict. "Kim, is it okay if a swordsman's swing is that weak?" Kim scoffed, "You just like acting like the leader." As the dust settled and the last goblin fell, someone commented, "Let's be positive. At least all the survivors from that incident are reunited now." Another turned toward Jin-Woo.
With that weapon, you're like a whole different guy.
You're right.
He's definitely changed a whole lot. Not just his looks, but his aura, too. Julia, though, I can see she's struggling, trembling in fear over a few goblins. Her trauma must run deep. Damn, the path splits into 3.
This dungeon seems easier than I thought. How about we split up?
Sounds like a plan.
Let's go left, Mr. Song. The boss is at the end of this path. I can't gain experience through normal methods, so I'll have to defeat the boss in order to level up. But more importantly, I'm getting a bad feeling about that guy.
Meanwhile, deeper in the right corridor, Kong Tae-shik led his own group of criminals. The shadows grew longer. The air colder. "Did you take care of them?" he asked without looking back. One of the convicts replied, "Yeah, piece of cake." "They were weak," another said. Tae-shik's eyes narrowed. "Goblins are like children," he began. "Low strength, limited intelligence, but annoying like pests. They use numbers, sneak attacks." He continued coldly, "But a child with a knife is still dangerous. In some places, even child soldiers kill adults." His voice turned sharp. "There's no difference between humans and monsters. They're both insects." Then, with a chilling calm, he asked the group, "Can you guys kill children?" The convicts blinked in confusion. "What?" "That's right. It's a boring question," one muttered. "You'll meet 100 children in this dungeon," Tae-shik said, stepping forward. From the shadows, dozens of small glowing red eyes blinked into view. Goblin younglings. "Starving." Snarling. "The children are starving," he added. "They'll eat all your flesh." He turned back to them. "Can you kill those things?" The convicts tensed, and then one answered, "Of course." Another grinned. "We can kill them. Then kill them? Taeshik said with finality. He walked into the red-lit darkness. The answer is, you have to kill anyone to live. Then, under his breath, he muttered, I'll report this to the Hunters Guild. His red-tinted glasses gleamed in the darkness. You guys, here, met 100 goblins. Back in another corridor, a goblin rushed the party but was effortlessly cut down. A hunter muttered, if goblins are this weak, this might be easier than expected. Yeah, another replied. Let's hope nothing big happens. They say if the weakest hunter shows up, the dungeon must be weak too. But behind them, one of the hunters clenched his fist in silence. After this raid, I'll bow to Sung and apologize. Elsewhere, 2 more hunters walked side by side. Don't you feel guilty? One said. We both ran away last time. We're hunters, the other replied. We abandoned a teammate. We can't just move on like nothing happened. If we want to keep being hunters, he added, we need to learn how to bow our heads. Even if he doesn't forgive us, I'll apologize. We have no time. Let's go. Since it's just the 2 of us, we need to be careful. Yeah. Meanwhile, another duo wandered through the dungeon. Maybe the others already finished up and left, one said casually. The other looked around and took a step forward. Then his face turned white. His eyes widened in horror. What? A twisted smile curves across the lips of a man with purple hair, Kong Taeshik. He towers over a trembling prisoner, broken and bloodied. Our cuties made a nuisance of themselves. Huh? He says with a casual tone, despite the blood on his hands. The job was to kill, with as much pain inflicted as possible. Did I wreck them too quickly? He taps his chin mockingly, then shrugs. Well, it was fun watching you all cry for help with your gut seeping out. Then, lowering his voice like it's a mild inconvenience. But what can I do? They're telling me to kill you quickly. The prisoner, barely holding on to life, begs, please don't kill me. But Kong Taeshik shows no mercy. Meanwhile, 2 hunters wander a nearby tunnel. One of them pauses. The ones who went in the other direction didn't finish yet, right? But as they round a corner, their eyes widen. The tunnel spills into a scene of carnage, bodies lie in pools of blood. This, one gasps. Their gaze falls on Kong Taeshik, standing amidst the dead, blade still wet. He turns to see them and smirks. What are you doing coming from there? He says coldly. So, the pathways were connected, huh? Realizing something, he glances to his left. That means the way to the boss room is over there. Guess I won't have to roam around. My schedule's changed a little. Elsewhere.
Sir, we need to head back! Oh, you're fast. I might need to change up my cover story a bit. But I'm still gonna kill you all. Just like the rest.
Mr. Kim?
Honey, can't you quit being a hunter?
Daddy? Why are you a hunter? Daddy, does that mean you're stronger than the other dads?
Only 1 in 5,000 hunters is D rank or higher. I know that I am my family's only husband and father. So, I can't die.
Jin-Woo kneels beside him, trembling with emotion. You said you had to live for your family. You have to live so that I can hate you. You have to live, no matter what. I'm sorry, Kim murmurs. I really am. His voice fades. The light leaves his eyes. Jin-Woo's head bows. Silence falls. Then he stands and walks toward Kong Taeshik. Why did you do that to Mr. Kim Sang-shik? Kong shrugs. Dunno. Could have been monsters. He weaves a lie. The criminals broke free. After killing you all, they tried to attack me while I was fighting the boss. I was the only one who survived. You piece of shit. One of the hunters snaps. I will do it, another says, stepping forward with fire in his eyes. He's fast, but probably fragile, he calculates. If I hit him once with magic, he turns to the healer, Miss Juhi. Can you give me a physical strength buff? She nods, startled. Let's close the range so that he can't dodge. Flames engulf him. Strength surges through his body. The killer mocks. What's a magician like you doing? He tightens his grip on the sword. I'm not a magician. Power radiates as he charges forward. I'm a swordsman. Let's do this, he growls, the heat of his buffed-up magic swirling around him like a wildfire. The hunter charges, buffed and blazing, internal monologue racing. It's like I strapped a car engine to a bike. I've got raw power, but if I lose control, I die. He flies forward, slashing, hoping to land the hit first. Clang! The blades clash violently. Sparks fly. Kong smirks coldly. It's normal for a magician to be weaker than an assassin. His confidence cuts deeper than his blade. So what's the point of picking up a weapon when you can't even reach C-rank physical strength? His taunts are brutal. The swordsman grits his teeth in response. He retaliates again, faster this time. Kang's eyes narrow. Your movement's not bad. He dodges, counters. But this isn't enough. The swordsman keeps pushing. If I can just go a little faster. Another furious clash? But Kong sees it all coming. Fast and precise. Maybe it was a good idea to drop magic and use a sword. But that's just it. Without more, you'll never be more than average. The tide turns. Kong begins his counter. That healer's a problem, he mutters, catching glimpses of Jui's magic, trying to support from the back line. I can't let this turn into a war of attrition. He turns his back on the swordsman, targeting Ji instead. I'll eliminate you as fast as I can, she warns. You dare to turn your back on a swordsman? The buffed hunter shouts, lunging. Kong blocks effortlessly. You're not just a regular old man, he admits, but only as mockery. You think a magician can keep up with assassin speed? How naive, he scoffs. There are limits to strength, old man. A blur of motion, Kong vanishes.
Someone a bit stronger might have stood a chance. But I rank higher than you. I'll make this quick.
Did it work?
Sly old snake. You again! Who the hell are you?
I'm Sung Jin-Woo, E rank.
Kang's eye twitches. E-rank? That can't be. A beat of disbelief. Then Kong lunges. Jin-Woo doesn't flinch. You block my attacks. Twice. That shouldn't be possible for an E-rank. You've been hiding your strength, Kong sneers. Song and Ji watch in shock from afar. Reawakened? They whisper. Yes, Kong murmurs. You've been reawakened. No one would have known unless they saw your real strength firsthand. A twisted smile curves on Kang's lips. Looks like you're new to this hunter game. In that case, Kong draws his blade, posture lowering. Let me teach you a lesson, he smirks. As your superior. But Sung Jin-Woo didn't flinch. Calmly, he asked, tell me, why did you do this? Kong chuckled darkly, pretending not to understand. This, he said casually. You mean, killing the prisoners? Jin-Woo's voice turned cold. No. I mean everything. Kong Tae-shik's smile stretched unnaturally. You're scary when you say it like that. As the flashback unfolded, we see how this massacre began. In a quiet restaurant, a grieving father handed over a briefcase. This is 2 billion won, the man said, desperation in his voice. Please, kill those bastards. Kong, still in a suit, responded coldly, is that all? For a job this dirty? The father's hands trembled. One of them hurt my daughter. Because of him, she took her own life. Her mother's still in the hospital from the shock. I can't let them live free. Understanding the pain, Kong Tae-shik accepted the job. I can't refuse a father like you. For 3 billion won. I'll provide an adequate service. Back in the present, Kong now faced Jin-Woo, unaware he'd underestimated the wrong person. He tried to reason. Although things got messy, I don't want to hurt you guys. Promise not to talk about today, and I'll let you go. Jin-Woo narrowed his eyes. You say that, but your face says otherwise. You look like you want to kill us. With no choice left. Then you'll all die, alongside the insects. They clashed, the entire cavern shaking from their blows. Sparks and shockwaves ripped through the air. Jin-Woo blocked every strike with uncanny precision. Kong Tae-shik shouted, I don't know how many ranks you've climbed since E rank, but it won't be that easy. Suddenly, Jin-Woo disappeared and reappeared behind him with terrifying speed. Kang's sword clashed against Jin-Woo's with a loud screech of metal. Slow. How can they move like this? He's not the same Mr. Sung I knew. Their speed was evenly matched. Every slash, every dodge, was perfectly timed. Kong shouted, is this your fastest? Even if you can see me, If your body can't keep up, you're dead. From behind, Juhi, the healer, screamed, Jin-Woo, stay strong. Kong activated his final buff, haste and burn booster. I can't play around anymore. The battlefield turned into a blur of blades and energy. Crashes and explosions echoed as the two clashed faster than eyes could follow. But even then, Jin-Woo matched Kang's every move. Kong thought to himself, even if we have similar stats, my experience should win this. That's the difference? He tried a surprise attack, moving to strike Juhi, forced Sung to defend. But Jin-Woo was already in motion, intercepting the attack and standing tall. Then suddenly, he froze. His eyes widened. He could feel it. The system activated on its own. A blue screen flashed in front of him. Emergency quest. Exterminate. There are hunters with killing intent toward you. Neutralize threats. Failing to do so will result in penalty. Jin-Woo's voice hardened. Sorry, but could you stop glaring at me like you're gonna kill me? He readied his blade. I'm coming. Kong Taeshik still believed he had the upper hand. A smirk curled at the corner of his lips as he thought, I'm holding the advantage. What could that possibly do now? But Jin-Woo had other plans? I'm thankful to the system for once, Jin-Woo whispered, eyes narrowing. It gave me another reason to kill you. The two hunters launched at each other with blinding speed. Daggers clashed. The ground beneath them cracked from the sheer force of their movements. Kong, grinning maniacally, thought, a class that specializes in daggers and agility. I'm the perfect counter to you. But Jin-Woo was already adapting. He wasn't just fighting, he was learning. Guys who talk a lot in battle are usually useless, he muttered. Activating his sprint skill, Jin-Woo's speed surged by 30%. To Kang's shock, his opponent was now faster. He became faster, he gasped. Before he could recover, a flash of pain tore through him. Blood sprayed into the air. He had been poisoned. Poison? Kong shouted, staggering back. It's that dagger. It's enchanted. But the effect didn't last long. Kong resisted with sheer strength, breaking the poison's hold. Not bad, he admitted with a smirk. But now, allow me to show you something fun as well. Suddenly, Kong disappeared, vanished completely. His camouflage skill activated, erasing his presence from sight, sound, even aura. Only a minuscule number of assassins have this skill, and none have lived to tell about it. Kong whispered from the shadows. Then came the ambush. Kong slashed at Jin-Woo's leg from behind, crippling him. Jin-Woo dropped to the ground, bloodied and unable to stand. Jui screamed his name, but Kong stepped between them. Don't try anything. I'll come when it's your turn, he warned coldly. With his tendons severed, Jin-Woo was vulnerable. Kong taunted, can you even move now? How long will it take you to heal? But as Kong gloated, a radiant light enveloped Jin-Woo. Status recovery. In an instant, he was healed. Kang's eyes widened in disbelief. He healed instantly? Was he not an assassin-type hunter? He thought, his mind spiraling. An offense class mixed with healing? Does that even exist? Meanwhile, Jin-Woo stood silent, cold, still. His heart no longer burned with anger. Again, he whispered, eyes void of emotion. One of my emotions died. Even anger is a waste on the likes of you. Kong attacked again, shrouded by camouflage, but Jin-Woo saw through it, countering with surgical precision. No hesitation when he aims for the neck, Kong realized. He's not like the others. He's killed before. A wicked grin stretched across Kang's face. We're the same species after all, he muttered. But there was a difference, one Kong couldn't comprehend. The battlefield grew still. Kang's thoughts turned grim. He awakened, and suddenly, society bent its rules for people like him. The strong make their own laws. And if that's the case, Kang's eyes glowed. Then I'll unleash my full power. He surged forward. Blades met in midair. Kong tried everything, but nothing worked. Then it happened.
What's going on? What the? A blinding darkness. Could this be a shadow? Who are you? Hunters have witnessed countless deaths and have taken many lives. I've lost, so I'll die. It's the natural order of things. What's your deal?
I'd like to know the answer to that too.
Keeping secrets ain't that great either.
Say I'm a hunter that improves with every battle. How much stronger do you think I'll get?
Your shadow is tethered to the darkness itself. You'll become as strong as the darkness is deep.
Quest complete. Text overlays. You have completed emergency quest. Kill the assassin. Quest reward. Plus 5 stat points. Jin-Woo stares silently. I certainly got much stronger than before. Jin-Woo doesn't respond. His gaze is elsewhere. But for some reason, I feel like something within me is lost every time I get stronger. Juhi and Chi-yeol approach him. Jin-Woo, he turns to them, his voice sincere. Thank you. Song Chi-yeol smiles back. Thanks, Mr. Sung. We would have died if you weren't here. Juhi adds, shouldn't we leave and report to the guild? Jin-Woo, deep in thought, finally speaks. We should close the dungeon gates first. Chi-yeol raises a brow. Mr. Sung, don't tell me you're going to solo the boss Aloe. Jin-Woo cuts him off. No. I've seen your skill, so I won't try to stop you. Chi-yeol adds one more thought, watching the corpses nearby. I do want to give them a proper burial, but such a pity. Alarm. You have received rune. Stealth. Jin-Woo looks at the rune shimmering in his hand. I can obtain his skill after killing him. He turns to the others. Hurry. We'll be waiting outside. He stares down at...
I know you're still alive. Why did you play dead? Kang Tae-shik was brutal and shrewd enough to cut your vocal cords. You're even more of a scumbag than Kang Tae-shik. You're not leaving this dungeon alive.
And a silent wail echoed throughout the distance. Narration resumes. Defeating the hobgoblin wasn't too difficult a task. After leaving the dungeon, Mr. Song Chi-yeol and Miss Juhi explained to the guild employee what had happened. The employee realized the situation was truly massive and hurriedly contacted her superiors. And one of the elites arrived quickly on the scene. Inside the cherry blossom-lined street, a conversation begins. How many minutes have passed since the dungeon was cleared? It's been about 40 minutes, sir. Only 20 minutes left then. Let's begin monitoring. Make sure they recover the evidence within 8 minutes. If impossible, get out and return back. Did the survivors clear the dungeon themselves? Yes, sir. Kang Tae-shik tried to kill the remaining hunters during a contact assassination. Huh. That's true. Then he would have intentionally closed off the dungeon. This means he had something to hide. Another man steps forward, watching Sung Jin-Woo from behind. Hunter Sung Jin-Woo, the one from the monitoring division. We meet again, Hunter. My name is Woo Jin-chul, head of the monitoring division. It seems like one of our employees caused great harm. Our official apologies. The case has been resolved. Jin-Woo eyes him cautiously. It's not the time to be full of myself just because I killed the B-rank hunter Kang Tae-shik. I didn't know before, but this person is strong. Woo Jin-chul flares with aura. He's in a different league of his own. He's an A-rank. I can't handle him with my strength right now. Things would run very smoothly if you cooperated. Would that be okay? Jin-Woo nods. Yes, I'll cooperate. Jin-chul steps closer. Then let me ask this directly. Who killed the B-rank Kang Tae-shik? A tense moment passes. Before Jin-Woo can answer, Song Chi-yeol steps forward. It was me. Since he wants a skillful, yet low-ranked hunter. It was me, he repeats. Woo Jin-chul nods, but presses further. If you don't mind, would you tell me your rank? C-rank. A brow rises. How could you beat a B-rank as a C-rank? Do you not see who's behind me? He gestures discreetly to the shadows. Woo Jin-chul whispers, well, if you did receive support from a B-rank, I guess you could have beaten him. But Kang Tae-shik was someone that couldn't be controlled even within the division. Could a one-armed C-rank really beat a skilled B-rank assassin in combat? He sighs. Come with me for now. I'm afraid I'm going to need your help in filling out some reports. As the team disperses, why did you lie? He answers honestly. I just assumed you had enough reason to hide your abilities. What? Was I wrong to do so? Woo Jin-chul speaks privately with Jin-Woo? You can't escape the investigation anyways. I can't pay you back for what you've done, but this is the least I can do for now. He turns to walk. Hunter Sung Jin-Woo. I don't think a C rank like you could defeat a B rank like Kong Tae-shik. I also think that it is unnecessary to suspect you of ReAwakening again. However, let me tell you this. He turns. After all, if you're not careful, your life may end sometime soon. Jin-Woo tenses. What do you mean? In the extermination of Hwang Dong-suk's assault team, the only survivors were a D rank and you. Jin-Woo listens closely. The problem is that Hwang Dong-suk's younger brother, Hwang Dong-soo, may seek revenge on you guys. Jin-Woo stares. You're talking about the S-rank Hwang Dong-soo? Jin-chul nods. Yes. It doesn't matter what actually happened during that raid. The important thing is that you, Sung Jin-Woo, survived. Since he's an S-rank, the law can't really bind him either. They're living miracles and, at the same time, calamities. It'd be in your interest to watch out for him. Because you may be hunted by someone who even monsters fear. We see a vision. Hwang Dong-soo grinning menacingly in America. Narration resumes. If possible, leaving the country with your loved ones isn't a bad idea. Jin-Woo watches them go. Status panel. Name, Sung Jin-Woo. Level, 27. Title, Wolf Slayer. Remaining points, 5. 3 hours later, during the investigation of Kong Tae-shik's murder, the gold business CEO turned himself in, testifying his reasons. Joo-hee walks beside Jin-Woo. She holds out a shard. Jin-Woo, do you remember this? After some time, we see Jin-Woo and Joo-hee walking together beneath the fading light. There wasn't much left to say, but silence speaks loudest when the heart is full. Joo-hee looked at him, a bittersweet smile on her face. You've changed a lot, Jin-Woo, she said. And then she laughed, almost to herself. And I haven't changed a bit, have I? Jin-Woo, ever the quiet one, simply nodded. You've been through hardship too, he told her. Change comes in different ways. She looked down at the road, remembering all those raids, all those days of fear. You know, she said, I scare too easily to be a hunter. I try to overcome it, but fear isn't something you just switch off. And then she admitted something that surprised even herself. I'm a B-rank healer. I should have been doing A or B-rank dungeons. But I stuck to D and E ranks because of fear. And every time she saw him, every time I joined a raid, I saw you, she said. You were always bleeding, always hurt, always reckless. Honestly, I thought you were dumb. But somehow, you always made it out alive. Your eyes, they used to scream to survive, to live to see another day. And then she reached into her pocket and handed him something. You gave this to me once, she said. Back when you weren't sure either of us would make it. I said I'd give it back, when we got out alive. He looked at it, the small token from that fateful raid, and his eyes widened. Wait, he asked, are you? She nodded. I'm retiring, she said softly. I'm going home to Busan. I want to see my family. Rest. Breathe. She laughed again, this time with warmth. If you ever stop by, I'll buy you some fresh sashimi. Jin-Woo didn't hesitate. If I do, I'll ask you to go out with me again. She stopped, turned around, and smiled like the sun was setting just for her. Okay, she said, and waved goodbye. She left, with the wind behind her and petals falling like quiet applause. Jin-Woo stood alone again. But this time, he smiled. And then that smile vanished, because now he had another reason to grow stronger. One name echoed in his mind. Hwang Dong-soo? Jin-Woo clenched his fist. S-rank hunter Hwang Dong-soo. I need to get stronger. Fast. The next day brought something completely different. Check this out.
Sir, these are the members of our strike squad!
Injured guys, alcoholics, and really a kid?
Hey, I'm a full-fledged hunter.
Legally, we need at least 10 hunters in order to enter a C-rank gate. All you have to do is stay near the entrance.
Taking on a C-rank dungeon by themselves?
They're just trying to act tough. You know what they say, pride goeth before a fall.
Oh, you guys must have backed out!
They didn't back out!
What the? You guys defeated the boss?
The gate is closing!
Where to next?
The next dungeon is about an hour away from here, sir.
What? Who'd pay 250 million won to enter a C-rank gate alone?
I think he's the son of Eugen Construction's chairman.
And Sung Jin-Woo, survivor of the double dungeon?
D-rank Yu Jin-Ho and E-rank Sung Jin-Woo. Get me everything you can find on these guys!
Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe. Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince. The chapter begins. The moment lingered, frozen in disbelief. Jin-Ho stood stunned, eyes wide, watching Sung Jin-Woo overwhelm a monster that should have been far beyond his level. That's an E-rank hunter? He gasped in disbelief, unable to tear his eyes away from the blinding flash of Jin-Woo's strikes crashing into the giant spider boss. The chaos resumed immediately. The spider let out a deafening screech and lunged, slamming its massive limbs toward Jin-Woo. But he didn't hesitate. He dashed forward, weaving through the monster's attacks with surgical precision. His speed blurred his silhouette, and in a flash, he was behind the beast, carving into its side. Sparks flew. Jin-Woo's dagger slashed again, grazing the monster's armor-like skin. He muttered, "Its skin is pretty thick. I'll need to dig as deep as possible with this dagger." He leapt again, narrowly dodging another limb. It has no blind spots. A spider has 8 legs and each one is a weapon. It can punch through the floor or even rocks. Every single strike is threatening, he thought. I'll need time to get close. In the back, Jin-Ho stood slack-jawed. He watched as Jin-Woo continued to clash with the spider like a whirlwind. What is this person? He's supposed to be E-rank, but this is insane, Jin-Ho muttered. He doubted his own eyes. No, there's no way. His rank was registered as E in the guild, but his movements, they're not E-rank at all. A terrifying thought crept into his mind. Could he be a false ranker? That term struck fear in even hardened hunters. False rankers were those who intentionally suppressed their mana during evaluations, hiding their true abilities. Most of them were unstable, dangerous people, even killers. But Jin-Woo's eyes were cold and focused. There was no bloodlust, just relentless precision. Still, it was impossible to ignore the fearsome strength radiating from him. Jin-Woo darted forward again, lightning crackling around him. Sparks danced as he blocked an attack, dodged, and came in close. But even as he struck, his internal dialogue grew more urgent. How long has it been since I started fighting this thing? He asked himself. 5 minutes? 10. He could feel it. His stamina was draining. A red status message flashed. Fatigue. 57. His breath shortened. My stamina's running out, and I haven't even dealt that much damage. He knew what that meant. If my fatigue keeps rising, I'll slow down. I can't prolong this any further. He glanced at his dagger, Risaka's Fong. There's only one way to win. I'll have to inflict the dagger's special ability. He moved with purpose, charging at the spider once more. The basics of raiding, he reminded himself, are to exploit weak points. The head, especially the eyes, that's the natural weak spot for creatures like this. He aimed and struck. The monster screamed and reeled back. But then, without warning, it opened its jaw and spewed a torrent of acid. Glowing, green, and deadly. Acid. That guy had a hidden attack? Jin-Woo realized this was the spider's trump card. If I waste any more time, I'll die. He sprinted again, pushing himself past his limit. I have to move even faster. I need to close the distance with more speed than before. Skill. Sprint activated. Movement speed increased by 30%. In a blink, he was behind the boss. Paralysis. He yelled, activating the dagger's effect. A glow surged through the spider's body, but the message flashed. Effect. Paralysis activated. The enemy's resistance is too high. Effect cancelled. No good. I have to end this fast, but I can't even land a critical hit. His fatigue now stood at 61. Still, he pushed harder, a bit faster, just a bit more, he told himself. Watching from a distance, Jin-Ho was amazed. He's so fast. But concern twisted his face. But if he keeps this up, he'll collapse. Jin-Woo's vision blurred as he jumped, fatigue rising to 70. The spider struck him mid-air.
Status recovery. Accept. Glad I still had my daily quest reward. Don't know what I would have done without it.
Behind him, Jin-Ho approached slowly. He stared at the fallen spider, then at Jin-Woo. He killed it alone. This person is definitely a false rancor, he thought in awe and terror, but he quickly masked his fear with a smile. Sir, would you like me to carry your magic crystals? He asked, suddenly respectful. Jin-Woo stared blankly. Sir, are you thirsty? Here, have some water. Jin-Ho practically bowed, trying to stay in Jin-Woo's good graces. I'll collect the mana crystals. You rest, sir. Jin-Woo didn't say much. He simply drank the water, watching Jin-Ho scramble around to act useful. Why is he like this? He muttered, then smiled faintly. Well, I guess I'm his savior now. An explosion rocked the dungeon. Flames lit up the sky as a violent shockwave blasted through the cavern. In the haze of dust and smoke, four silhouettes emerged slowly. Their presence alone made the air feel heavier. Jin-Woo stood still, bloodied and exhausted, eyes narrowed at the unfamiliar group. The man leading the group, tall and burly with a scarred jawline, narrowed his eyes. What the hell? Those guys are still alive. Behind him, others whispered, confused. Is the boss dead? Did they kill it by themselves? Was that spider just big and dumb? Doubt filled their voices as they stared at the seemingly unlikely survivors. One member scoffed. If it's because of that bastard's equipment, it's possible he could take down a C-rank boss. If a D-ranker and an E-ranker beat it, that's enough proof. Another spoke cautiously. You Jin-Ho, I underestimated you. Hwang Dae-suk frowned deeply. There's no way an E-ranker could have done it alone. I don't know what kind of special abilities that equipment has, but he might be dangerous. His companion leaned in. So what do we do now? Hwang answered coldly. We win him over. They turned to you Jin-Ho. I looked into your flashy gear, and turns out, you're the son of someone important. Eugene Architectures, Chairman Yu Myung-han, right? Jin-Ho flinched. So what? I want to talk to your father, but first, kill Sung Jin-Woo. His eyes widened in shock. What? Kill him and join our group, Hwang said, eyes glowing red with bloodlust. Otherwise, you'll both die by our hands. Jin-Ho stood frozen, glancing between Jin-Woo and the armed men. Why hesitate? One taunted. No one will know what happened in the dungeon. Are you afraid of an E-ranker? Sir, Jin-Ho whispered. Jin-Woo looked at him calmly and said, It's okay. Jin-Ho clenched his fists. What foolish thoughts. It's a given I'll be betrayed because I'm weak. But instead of attacking Jin-Woo, Jin-Ho stepped forward, towards the enemy. What's this? Hwang muttered, watching as Jin-Ho raised his shield in defense. You're going to take his side and fight us? His underling stepped forward.
Jung-suk, what should we do?
Let's get rid of the weakling first. Have you ever killed someone before?
Zeno! Murderers!
How could I have forgotten? In a dungeon, it's always survival of the fittest. The system is forcing me to commit murder. The system needs me to be strong. At least now I know. The system is using me, so I'll use the system.
Huh? He's still alive! Is that the best you can do?
Sorry, sir. I went all out.
Jin-Woo slowly walked forward, his voice cold. You played around with someone's life. Are you ready to face the consequences? The enemies stared at him, confused. What the hell is this guy saying? Jin-Woo raised his voice, calm yet terrifying. If you're hunters, then be prepared to be hunted. One hunter stepped up. Sir, I'll take care of him. He approached Jin-Woo and sneered. Looks like you don't understand the situation. But before he could finish, Jin-Woo twisted his wrist, slipping a dagger into the man's side. Blood sprayed. The man gasped, eyes wide. He collapsed, as blood still dripped from Jin-Woo's blade. He uttered a single word coldly. 1. The system displayed a chilling update. Enemies required to be killed. 7. Enemies killed. 1. The other hunters stood frozen in disbelief. Someone gasped, Juntek. Another stammered, What? That bastard, when did he? Jin-Woo advanced calmly, his aura intensifying with every step. One of the remaining enemies stared in disbelief. No matter how unqualified Juntae was, he was still a D rank. How did an E ranker? The screen shifted. Jin-Woo stared down at his blood-soaked hand, reflecting solemnly. I ended up killing a person, a human. His thoughts were calm, yet heavy. Even if the system forced me, it doesn't change the fact that I killed someone. The blade in his hand trembled slightly. If I don't kill, I'll be killed. I can't run anymore. His mind drifted, memories flashing. Times in school, casual moments with friends, and then horrifying scenes inside dungeons. Screams, panic, deaths, betrayals. People running, falling, crying. Memories of comrades being slaughtered or abandoning each other. A voice yelled, "Wake up!" Another screamed, "A few of us died." The trauma replayed endlessly. Jin-Woo remembered a desperate man sobbing, "I have a family. I don't want to die." The man cried, "I'm sorry." But nothing stopped the tragedy. A young Jin-Woo screamed, "Mister!" He curled up in agony, clutching his head in despair. The weight of his past crushed him, but then something snapped. His sorrow turned into rage. He opened his eyes, now glowing with fierce blue light. His entire presence shifted. Power surged through him. Shadows gathered, energy pulsed. He stood tall, eyes burning with resolve. The other hunters recoiled. "I don't know what he just did, but don't let your guard down," one barked. "Yuan, give him one more." The mage hurled a blazing attack, but it was too late. Jin-Woo blurred through the spell with terrifying speed. The fireball exploded behind him, but he was already in front of them. "Your magic is annoying," he muttered coldly before cutting the caster down with a deadly cross-slash of blades. Another yelled, "That bastard!" But it didn't stop. Jin-Woo ducked, twisted, and slashed through another attacker. He was too fast. One enemy panicked. "How is an E rank moving like this? My attacks aren't hitting." Jin-Woo's voice echoed through the chamber. "If you guys are hunters, then try hunting." Blue energy radiated around him. His eyes glowed again. Hunters were made to hunt anyway. The paralysis effect activated. One screamed, "My body isn't moving." Another shrieked, "Is it magic?" Someone cried. But Jin-Woo kept advancing. His presence was overwhelming. "He's strong," one muttered wide-eyed. Stronger than when he fought the dungeon boss. Suddenly, effects triggered rapidly. Bleed has activated. Paralysis has activated. One enemy wailed, "What is this guy's identity?" Jin-Woo didn't even look back as he slashed through another man, blood flying. The bodies dropped behind him, lifeless. Hwang Dong-suk, the last standing leader, staggered back in disbelief. In a flash, all our members. The system updated again. Enemies killed, 7. "You bastard," he growled. "You were hiding your skills. Was it you who killed the boss too?" Jin-Woo didn't respond. He just stared. Dong-suk roared, "I'll show you that not all C-rankers are the same." He activated his buff, Empower. His muscles bulged, a red aura flared. He charged.
Hwang Dong-suk, you're strong, but there's one thing you don't know. And that's that I've been leveling up.
Wait, don't kill me. If it's money you want, I'll give it to you.
You said what happens in the dungeon stays in the dungeon, right?
You bastard! Don't you know who my younger brother is?
Jin-Woo, "My clothes are a mess again. The size doesn't match anymore. I guess I'll have to buy new ones." In the distance, Eugene-ho trembled and sobbed. He was overwhelmed, shaken by what he'd just witnessed. Jin-Woo glanced at him in silence, then turned toward the collapsing dungeon. The boss was defeated. The dungeon was closing? As they prepared to leave, the system prompted, "Quest complete. Will you receive the reward?" Jin-Woo accepted. He chose from 3 options: status recovery, 10 experience points, and a new skill, Bloodlust. Active skill. Using a strong killing intent, the target is put into a state of fear for 1 minute. All stats reduced by 50%. Far away, across the world, the scene shifted to Washington, USA. A well-built man sat up from his bed, drenched in sweat. "A great morning," he said to himself. "What is it in Korea?" He wiped his face. Did I have a bad dream? My eyes are wet. At the Korean Hunter Association headquarters, a report lands on the desk of manager Eugene Cheol. As sunlight floods the office, one of his assistants hesitantly approaches with the update. Manager, he calls, holding out a report. Jin Cheol turns his head and responds with mild curiosity. What is it? The assistant reports that in a recent C-rank dungeon raid, 8 people were killed in action. That, in itself, wasn't unusual until he adds that the only survivors were a D-rank and an E-rank hunter. Jin Cheol's demeanor sharpens. Looks like they ran away, he says at first, brushing it off as a common scenario. But then the assistant clarifies, no, they didn't run. They cleared the dungeon. Jin Cheol sits up straighter. The D-rank survivor, Eugene Ho, had top-tier gear. It was believable he could take on a C-rank boss, but for 8 people to die while 2 low-rank hunters survived? That was suspicious. The dungeon boss was a giant arachnid named Betrayal, a monster that shouldn't have been much of a threat to an organized party. The number of deaths didn't make sense. Pressing for clarity, Jin Cheol demands, don't beat around the bush. Just tell me. The assistant finally reveals the second survivor's name, Sung Jin-Woo. The name triggers recognition. Though the association had seen him pass through tests before, his abilities had seemed ordinary. Even so, the assistant notes that they had seen strange readings from Jin-Woo during previous assessments, though they were dismissed as flukes. But with this incident, things feel different. The other warrior involved, Hwang Dong-suk, is also a name that adds weight to the situation. Jin Cheol realizes that this can't be ignored anymore. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Jin-Woo is relaxing at home with his sister Jin-Ah, enjoying a quiet evening with fried chicken and soda. She curiously asks if something good happened since he seems more generous today. Jin-Woo shrugs off the question, not sure if what happened was good or bad. As he drinks, a system alert appears. A harmful substance has been detected, but the buff Cure Poison is automatically neutralizing it. He realizes that even alcohol can't affect him anymore. The system then informs him that he has completed the requirements of a secret quest, Courage of the Weak. His mind flashes back to the dungeon disaster, the horrors he faced, and the turning point that began his transformation. The reward from that mission, given by the great spellcaster Candiaru, granted him not only immunity from poison, but also immense regenerative power, enough to regenerate a severed leg. His body is now in a constant state of perfect health. As Jin-Woo reflects, Jin-Ah notices him spacing out. She jokes, if you're not going to eat, I'll take your share. Jin-Woo barely reacts, lost in thought about how drastically his life has changed. His sister observes silently that her once easygoing brother now feels like a completely different person. Later, Jin-Woo steps out of his room and drinks from a glass, another system alert confirming that the item, Risaka's venom, has also been purged from his system. His strength and stats are stabilizing, confirming his immunity. At that moment, Jin-Ah calls out to him, do you know anyone named Eugene Ho? He's calling for you. Scene shift, and we see a cafe where Jin-Woo and Eugene Ho meet again. Jin-Ho greets him warmly, calling him his savior. Jin-Woo is polite but distant, rejecting coffee and going straight to business. Jin-Ho thanks Jin-Woo for sharing all the magic crystals with him, saying he managed to save a significant amount. Jin-Woo smirks slightly and says, since you kept quiet, there's been no problems so far. But Jin-Ho's tone suddenly changes. His voice becomes more serious. Those guys tried to kill us. It was a fight among hunters. He brings up the previous raid, how things went south, and how Jin-Woo handled the situation. Jin-Ho, a wealthy heir with no need to become a hunter, now sits nervously across from Jin-Woo. He suddenly blurts, I'm actually planning to create a personal attack team. Jin-Woo doesn't even let him finish. Declined, he says flatly. Jin-Ho protests, but I didn't even finish my sentence. Jin-Woo doesn't budge. I don't need to hear it. Jin-Ho pleads, lowering his tone and revealing his purpose. He needs to complete 20 raids to qualify for a guild master license. He already finished one, meaning he needs to join 19 more. Please go with me just 19 times, he begs. Jin-Woo begins to walk away but turns around with a challenge. Are you mentally prepared to see people die again? Jin-Ho nods, determined. He reveals that his father, the owner of Eugene Constructions, wants to create a guild. The business world has discovered that dungeons are full of treasure, magic crystals, monster parts, valuable materials. Major companies are now sending in hired hunters to retrieve these resources. His father wants to do the same, and Jin-Ho is supposed to be the guild master? Jin-Woo considers this. If the Eugene company sets up a guild, With an S rank as guild master and Jin-Ho's brother as vice master, Jin-Ho has no real place. He's using these raids to prove himself before talking to his father? To that, Jin-Woo asks one final question. So what do I get out of joining? Jin-Ho, already prepared, dramatically opens his briefcase and pulls out a thick envelope. This, he says, sliding it across the table. Jin-Woo opens it. Inside a brightly lit cafe, Jin-Woo's gaze remained fixed on the document Jin-Ho had just handed him. Soon after, a quiet park comes into view, serene and lined with lush green trees. Birds chirped softly in the background. Jin-Woo was out jogging, and unlike before, his sister Jin-Ah had joined him. But her suspicion was apparent. She narrowed her eyes and asked, "Why are you suddenly following me out to exercise?" Jin-Woo glanced at her and replied dryly, "You've been getting too cocky lately." She pouted, but he added, "It's not good to sit at a desk all day, you know." Then, without missing a beat, he took the lead, jogging ahead and telling her not to fall behind. The two ran along a paved trail surrounded by trees and archways. The path opened up ahead, tranquil and shaded by nature. While jogging side by side, Jin-Woo suddenly asked a strange question. "Jin-Ah, hypothetically, if you suddenly got 3 billion won, what would you do with it?" Jin-Ah blinked, confused. "Why are you asking?" she asked, still trying to keep pace. "I dunno," she replied, thinking aloud. "Maybe I'd deposit it or buy a bigger house." Jin-Woo chuckled and followed up. "And what about the leftover money?" She shrugged, a bit embarrassed. "Well, I haven't thought about that part." But before she could ask why he was being so weird, Jin-Woo suddenly took off running again, much faster than before. "Hey, what the heck?" she shouted. "Brother, wait for me." She tried chasing after him, her expression baffled and annoyed. Panting, she slowed down and watched him run off into the distance. "What the heck is wrong with him?" she mumbled. She paused, placing her hands on her hips. A hunter really is different. The scene cuts to a glowing street sign, Café Peen. Inside, Jin-Ho was once again explaining his grand plan. He opened a folder and showed Jin-Woo a printed document. "It's the building we're constructing," Jin-Ho said proudly. "We plan to use it as our guild office. The estimated price is 3 billion, but it'll rise." Jin-Woo's eyes narrowed at the price. A 3 billion won building for doing E-rank raids, 19 times. The math didn't add up. "So you're saying this is just a small investment if you can become a guild master?" Jin-Ho nodded with a wide grin. "That's right, sir." Jin-Woo went silent again, deep in thought. "What should I do?" he asked himself. 3 billion. Normally, there's no reason to get involved. But he also knew something else. He wasn't a normal hunter. He was a special case, even among the awakened. Since nobody's heard of a hunter who can level up and grow stronger. If I continue like this, I might even reach S rank. Or maybe something higher. His eyes glinted sharply. If that happens, 3 billion won will be nothing. But Jin-Woo's voice turned serious as he leaned in. "I have a condition." Jin-Ho leaned forward, intrigued. "You can tell me anything, sir," he said eagerly. Jin-Woo raised 2 fingers. "You and me," he said. "Just the 2 of us. No one else joins the raid." Jin-Ho's jaw dropped. "Sir, if I'm not misunderstanding, you're saying we clear C-rank dungeons, just the 2 of us?" Jin-Woo calmly nodded. "You understood perfectly." Jin-Ho began to panic. "But C-rank gates require at least 10 members to enter." Jin-Woo smirked. "If we offer some money to fill up the headcount, people will line up. They would use the same method Hwang Dong-suk once abused. Fake participants who don't actually join the raid." Still, Jin-Ho looked concerned. "But isn't it too dangerous, sir?" Jin-Woo responded calmly. "If it's just the 2 of us, and we succeed, no one else gets hurt. Plus, think about it. If you succeed after creating an attack team that clears raids safely, won't that impress your father?" Jin-Ho's eyes lit up again. "You're right. I get it," he exclaimed, fired up. "Let's do it that way, sir. I'll start recruiting our teammates." A system notification suddenly echoed in Jin-Woo's mind. Daily quest, prepare to become stronger, has been completed. He stretched as he jogged, thinking to himself, "Oops, I overdid it again while thinking." As Jin-Woo continued his run, the system kept tracking his completed goals: 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10 kilometers run. But even after reaching 100, the counter kept going. "Why is it still counting?" he thought. I've already completed the goal. Deciding to push further, he doubled his routine. 200 push-ups, 200 sit-ups, 200 squats. After 20 minutes, he stopped at a water station, catching his breath. It's not going above 200. Is it the same for running? He looked down the path and said, since I can't run 200 kilometers, I'll start with 20. Behind him, Gina finally caught up, gasping and clutching her knees. Brother. Meanwhile, across the ocean, in Washington, D.C., USA, Hwang Dong-soo was brooding. He slammed a file on a desk and asked coldly, what happens if I kill someone in Korea? His assistant Lola looked stunned. Are you serious? She asked, voice wavering. She explained calmly. Since you're an American hunter and Korea hasn't signed the criminal treaty, you'll receive a trial here in the U.S. Hwang Dong-soo grinned. Thank goodness, he whispered ominously. Alone in a darkened lounge, Hwang Dong-soo lit a cigarette. Some bastards killed my brother, he growled. If I don't at least get a glimpse of them, I won't be satisfied. The screen confirmed it. S-rank hunter, Hwang Dong-soo of the Scavenger Guild. 7 of his squad members died, and only 2 survived. D and E-rank hunters? No way. My brother wouldn't risk his life for weaklings. They must have set him up. He barked out an order. Clear my schedule. I'm going to Korea. His assistant tried to stop him. If you leave so suddenly, the guild will be paralyzed. Hwang asked when her calendar would be free. 2 weeks from now, she answered. Okay, he said darkly. Empty it from that point. The woman hesitated. Will it be okay? Hwang Dong-soo clenched his fists tighter. I just hope those bastards are still alive in 2 weeks. Back in Korea, Jin-Woo stood up from a tall building rooftop. Night had fallen. His shadow was long under the glowing moonlight. He wore his signature black hoodie, standing alone under the stars. His stats were maxed. 200 push-ups, sit-ups, and squats. 20 kilometers of running. And now, a key shimmered in his hand. The system declared, hidden quest activated. It was an item, the Demon Castle Key, S-Class, glowing in red energy. I expected something stronger, but an S-Class item? Jin-Woo stared at it. This is good. Because he chose the blessed random box, he couldn't get another. But this key? It had to mean something huge. He inserted the key.
If the key's level is the same as the dungeon rank, that would mean this is an S-rank dungeon. I have no chance of surviving. I have a teleportation stone, so I'll use it as soon as things get too dangerous. I refuse to let myself die here.
With that, the true battle began. A new mission appeared, a key that allows you to enter the Demon Castle. It was S-rank. The rarity said it all. The difficulty of this place wasn't just high, it was beyond reason. Flames engulfed the sky as he recalled the grim history of these kinds of gates. If item class indicated dungeon difficulty, then his survival chances were close to 0. The best choice, he thought, is to level up as much as I can before entering another instant dungeon. He remembered Jeju Island, the tragedy that unfolded when an S-rank dungeon broke there. The entire land had become uninhabitable, and now he was standing in a place just as dangerous. Even the combined strength of S-rank hunters wasn't always enough to clear these kinds of gates. Jin-Woo's mind flashed with images, nesting monsters, towering enemies, and a sheer, overwhelming force that most humans couldn't even hope to face. With the current state of deployable hunters, he reasoned, clearing an S-rank gate is near impossible. That's why he had no choice but to avoid S-rank dungeons, at least for now. He was not yet ready, not yet strong enough. The Cerberus, with its impenetrable hide and instant death strength, was unlike anything he'd ever faced. But even knowing that, he leapt forward. His blade flashed as he attacked one of the Cerberus heads, curious if his strength would even register. His attack struck with force and speed, but could he really leave a scratch? Suddenly, System alarms began triggering. Wolf Slayer, title effect activating. His buffed stats surged. Another alert followed. Skill, speed, was now active, boosting his movement speed by 30%. With mana draining steadily, Jin-Woo became a blur of motion, slashing through the air like a storm. But it wasn't enough. He unleashed everything, slashes glowing with light, his eyes locked onto the beast. He even activated Bloodlust, a skill meant to terrify his enemy. But another alert popped up. The enemy's resistance was too high. The effect was cancelled. Jin-Woo's brows furrowed. "It's not working," he muttered. "My skills, even with the title's buff, they're doing nothing." Another alert explained why. Cerberus was using the skill Wrath. For the next 3 minutes, all its stats would double. Jin-Woo could feel it. The heat, the fury, the death closing in. As the Cerberus launched its brutal attack, Jin-Woo fought back, dodging massive claws, parrying savage bites. The system, ever cold and calculating, offered another message. The enemy did not feel any pain. Jin-Woo gritted his teeth as blood flew from his shoulder. He was thrown against the stone, the impact cracking the floor. Still,
Well, if I really have become someone's avatar through this system, I'll swallow the system whole. Reward 1, accept status recovery! Thanks, now I know how strong I am. At this level, I'll die if I open those doors. I'll come back after I've gotten stronger.
then, the system revealed his new loot. Item, Warden's Necklace, Agility plus 20, Sense plus 20. Item, Castle Door Key, a key obtained from slaying Cerberus. Item, Cerberus Fong, material item. Meanwhile, back in the city,
Here's 2 billion. Please, kill those bastards for me.
You know why I chose to work for the surveillance team at the Hunters Association? Despite the bad pay, humans are way more fun to kill than beasts.
inside a quiet dojo, the clash of wooden swords echoed with intensity. Song Chiel's bare foot struck the wooden floor as he launched himself forward, his kendo stance firm, blade raised high, yelling with all his might. His opponent, an armored trainee, braced to parry, but Song's movement was swift and fierce. In a flash, he closed the gap and delivered a clean strike. The crowd of observing trainees shouted and cheered with every blow exchanged, their voices resonating in the hall as the spar intensified. Moments later, both men paused, breathing heavily. The floor creaked as they stepped back. Song Chiel sat down, removing his helmet, sweat dripping from his brow. One of the younger students approached with admiration in his voice, complimenting his master's skill. Song laughed off the praise, claiming his old body would become useless if he didn't keep training. The student teased, saying Song had gone easy on him, but Song smiled faintly and corrected him. There was no such handicap. If he had both arms, maybe things would have been different. Suddenly, Song's phone buzzed. He stood up, answering the emergency call. It was another low-rank dungeon assignment. He sighed, frustrated by the frequent interruptions. The student, concerned, asked if Song was still putting off retirement. Song turned toward the window, gazing out as cherry blossoms floated gently past. He admitted the thought crossed his mind, but with what little time he had left, he still wished to be useful to the world. Kneeling down in thought. It really was odd. An S-rank hunter, like himself, receiving sword lessons from someone of lower rank. Yet he acknowledged the truth. Even high rank couldn't cover for lack of skill. As the scene shifted outside, the pink blossoms framed a sunny day.
An emergency call for a D-rank dungeon. Huh? Is that really you, Song?
Mr. Song.
You've changed so much these past few months. There's no trace of your old boyish self left. Wait, but wasn't your leg cut off?
When I woke up, it had grown back.
Ah, good. A man your age, it would have been a tragedy. Come on, don't worry about me. It's a miracle that a hunter like me never had an accident until then. Today must be a special one. Everyone from that day is here.
Jin-Woo, I tried so hard to find you.
Well...
Ooh, is this a dungeon raid or a first date?
These probational prisoners will accompany you today. Mr. Kong Tae-shik from the surveillance team will also join today's raid. There's no need to worry.
We're supposed to go on the raid with a team like this? I guess we should all get going then.
His silhouette leading the way. I guess we're all going together then, he said. This is probably fate as well. And with that, the portal opened. Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe. Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince White. The chapter begins. The red glowing eyes of the twin wolf monsters stared hungrily into the dark as smoke filled the corridor. Their growls echoed with menace, but Jin-Woo didn't flinch. His face was splattered with blood, yet his eyes remained calm and piercing blue, locked on the enemies before him. Looking down at his chipped blade, Jin-Woo muttered to himself, "Looks like the blade's all dull." Tossing the weapon aside, he sighed. In the end, no matter how good a weapon was, it would always lose durability. Even high-grade ones wouldn't last if used constantly in dungeons. He recalled a time when he bought an expensive dagger that cost over 50,000 won. It made hunting easier, sure, but it shattered during a boss fight. It wasn't worth it. That day, he had managed to loot 3 E-class magic crystals. But even then, he barely made enough to survive. From that point on, he chose not to rely on weapons anymore. Instead, he'd sharpened his body into a weapon. And it worked. "Thanks to you," he whispered, glancing down at the slain wolves beneath his feet. Blood soaked the hallway floor. Around him, the beast he'd just taken down lay lifeless. Dozens of wolf corpses lined the path he had carved through. A green notification flickered in the air. Title: Wolf Slayer. Awarded to a hunter proficient in fights against wolves, increasing effectiveness against beast-type monsters. Jin-Woo opened his inventory window. 34 wolf fangs, 2 worn daggers, traveler's clothes, and a hearthstone, he murmured. "That's more than I was expecting." He pulled out the hearthstone from the system menu and stared at it. "Should I return?" He paused. "No. There's no guarantee I'll get another chance to grow stronger like this." Looking around the eerie dungeon, he wondered aloud. What happens to this place if I use the hearthstone? Will it just disappear? It was possible. Maybe this dungeon was created by the system itself. If so, it would vanish once he left. Ultimately, he muttered, "I'm dancing in the palm of something I don't understand." Like Wukong trapped under Buddha's hand. No matter how far he ran, it was still within someone else's control. He made his decision. Advance or retreat? Clutching the hearthstone tight, he dismissed it back into the inventory. He wouldn't run. Suddenly, a flash of light and a loud notification. "You leveled up," illuminated his vision. Again and again, with every slash and every kill, he grew stronger. The battlefield was chaos, but with each level gained, the fight became easier. Notifications filled the air. "You have slain Razor Claw Briga. You have slain Black Shadow Raisin." He could feel it. His body was becoming stronger, sharper. The monsters felt lighter with every attack. But there was something strange. These monsters, they weren't acting like living beings. They kept reappearing as if the dungeon itself was respawning them. Jin-Woo began to study their patterns. He noticed them repeat. One would leap from above like a monkey. 2 others would flank him from either side, like cats. If I learn their attack patterns, I can figure out where they're coming from next, he thought, slicing through another wave. But just as he cleared the room, a new name appeared above a red beast's head. Steelfang Raiken? He turned slowly, facing the monster. The color of the name, it changed, he noted. The system gave monsters colored names based on their strength. White meant weak. Orange meant average. Red meant deadly. Raikens that were once orange were now white. That meant only one thing. Jin-Woo had grown. A lot. But even with all his progress, he glanced down the stairwell that led deeper into the dungeon. A strange, chilling energy pulsed from below. His instincts screamed. "Even now, I'm getting goosebumps," he whispered. He couldn't explain it. But there was something incredibly powerful waiting for him down there. Maybe it's my sense stat, he thought. But I can feel it. There's a monster down there. He checked his status, level 15, fatigue 30, but his level wasn't increasing as easily anymore. Worse, his weapon wouldn't survive if he kept fighting like this. He took a step, then another. His feet moved cautiously down the misty stairwell. The eerie quiet only made the tension worse. Are these stairs longer than before? He wondered, starting to feel disoriented. Finally, he reached the bottom. A crumbled station entrance came into view. Is this really Hapejong Station? He stepped inside. The vegetation was thick and unnatural. Something wasn't right. Then he heard it. A terrifying rustle from the bushes. Something massive moved, fast, too fast. A blur shot toward him. Jin-Woo's eyes widened. Fast, he shouted, barely managing to block with his blade. The force of the impact launched him into the air and slammed him against the wall. He groaned, crashing down hard. Coughing, he pushed himself back to his feet, but he was in pain. Then came the shock. His blade had shattered. My sword, he gasped. Pieces of metal clattered to the ground. He had leveled up. He'd fought so many enemies. But even now, this new threat, it was different. He looked up, and there it was. Towering, serpentine, and glowing with malice. Blue poison-fanged Kasaka. Its name was still Orange. Even now, Jin-Woo breathed heavily. Your name is Orange. He was still not strong enough. The snake hissed. Its massive fangs bared wide as it lunged. Sung Jin-Woo stood his ground, his breath ragged, face bruised and bloodied. But his gaze was steady. Are you the boss of this place? He asked, eyes locked on the creature. He gripped his dagger tighter, planting his feet on the ground. He had entered this place for a reason. And now, standing before the swamp's ruler, Blue Poison Fang's Kasaka, that reason was more urgent than ever. The serpent loomed over him, its blue-scaled body twisting through the mist. Jin-Woo could feel its pressure like a wave crashing down on him. One glance at its armored skin, and he realized his sword alone couldn't pierce those scales. Even brute force wouldn't be enough. He needed speed, power, precision. Punches won't work, he thought. A normal attack won't even scratch it. Kasaka struck first, lunging like a thunderbolt. Jin-Woo dodged, the beast slamming into the ground where he'd stood a second ago. The impact cracked the earth. Jin-Woo countered with a lightning-fast strike, his dagger aimed at a soft spot. But it deflected harmlessly off the monster's scales. He landed, panting, trying to come up with a plan. I need an attack with weight. I need to weaken its defense. But how do I deal with these thick scales? The battle raged on. Kasaka thrashed violently, knocking Jin-Woo back again and again. Each time, the hunter barely dodged death. Sparks flew from the impact of blade against scale. If it hits me directly, I might die, he thought, gritting his teeth as another close call grazed his arm. But Jin-Woo didn't stop. He kept moving, dodging, striking, thinking. He was getting pushed back, again and again. Finally, a blow sent him flying. He crashed onto the ground, skidding across the floor. He coughed up blood and struggled to his feet, barely hanging on. I thought I got stronger, but I'm still lacking, he gasped. How much stronger do I have to become? The memories came flooding back. His past, of being weak, of being called the world's weakest hunter. The ridicule, the pity, the unbearable shame. And now this fight. This was his answer. To escape my past, to become something more. I need strength. He gripped his dagger tighter. I know I'm weak. That nickname stuck because it's true. But I won't accept that anymore. Jin-Woo launched forward, slashing with everything he had. Strength, weakness. It ends here. The memory of the temple, of kneeling before that towering god statue, of being crushed by fear, rushed back. But now, in front of Kasaka, he didn't feel that same terror. Not anymore. Compared to the fear from that time. I'm not scared at all, he roared. Jin-Woo met the charge head-on.
I must have gone a little stronger, huh?
Then, a familiar system alert rang in his mind. He had slain Swamp's ruler, Blue Poison Fang's Risaka. Despite being covered in cuts, bruises and blood, Jin-Woo remained calm. My clothes are ruined, the sword I just got is broken, my body aches too, he whispered. But even with all that, he gripped the new weapon he earned, a curved dagger made from Risaka's fawn. Its stats and effects were far superior to his previous weapons, boasting paralysis and bleeding properties. It wasn't made of bone, it was a true beast's fawn. The Risaka's venom, meanwhile, though powerful, felt awkward to use for now. He decided to store it away? A system message confirmed. The boss has been slain. The dungeon's interior will revert to normal. Slowly, the artificial dungeon disintegrated, and the real world returned. Jin-Woo stepped through the now visible subway platform, Hapyeong Station, back to reality. As he emerged, the world had changed. Rain was pouring. Time had passed. What time is it now? He wondered aloud. A soldier saw him exiting the dungeon and raised his weapon cautiously. Who are you? How did you come out from there? The soldier asked. Didn't you hear the broadcast? Jin-Woo looked confused. A soldier, he thought. What happened? He asked. The soldier, stunned by Jin-Woo's condition and the giant monster corpse nearby, hesitated. Could you be a hunter? Jin-Woo confirmed. Yes, that's right. But the soldier quickly changed his tone. This way, Sir Hunter. I will guide you. Jin-Woo nodded and followed, but his thoughts lingered. What happened here? Nearby, devastation lay scattered across the street. Bodies of monsters, crushed and mangled, littered the area. Looks like a gate opened nearby. The soldier explained. Nearby monsters have been taken care of, except one. The boss is still alive. Jin-Woo's sense stat flared. He could feel it. From the distance, a massive bolt of lightning struck, illuminating the city. A towering golem-like boss emerged, surrounded by a team of hunters attempting to subdue it. Jin-Woo knew instantly that's the boss. Helicopters circled above. Civilians were pushed behind barriers. Soldiers shouted, "Please don't take photos. Please leave quickly." The boss stood still, glowing with electric energy. What are the hunters doing? One civilian asked. How long are they going to fight? Another wondered. The tank shouted, "Healers, please heal the tank." Support members rushed to keep the front line alive, but the damage output was low? One spectator speculated, their ranks must be low. Probably 8 E ranks and 1 D rank. They simply weren't strong enough. One healer hesitated, spacing out. Another yelled at her.
Hey, give me some healing, quick!
Jin-Woo watched all this from afar. Even after a week, she's still not over it, he thought, referring to Ju-hee. Then, we did it. We beat it. They cheered, but confusion spread among the team. Wait, our attacks didn't work before. What made it collapse? The tank, confused, added, our attacks did nothing. Something hit its head right before it fell. Another questioned, what was that thing that flew in just then? Is that what made it fall down? They wondered. A boss golem, resistant to attacks from 10 hunters, was defeated by something else. Just who? At that moment, a soldier noticed Jin-Woo in the crowd. Excuse me, he shouted. Did you see who threw this? The hunter over there. Where'd he go? Jin-Woo had already slipped away. Was he a high-ranked hunter? One asked. Jin-Woo walked off in silence. I didn't think it would fall in one hit. Was its health lower than I expected? From a distance, Ju-hee caught a glimpse of him. Jin-Woo, she whispered. The system popped up his stats. Name, Sung Jin-Woo. Level, 18. Title, Wolf Slayer. Strength, 48. Agility, 27. Sense, 27. Intelligence, 27. Vitality, 27. HP, 2220. MP, 350. Fatigue, 72? He had no job yet. The story opens on a quiet, bright morning at the hospital. Sunlight filters through the windows of a recovery room, where Jin-Woo lies shirtless in bed, awake and contemplative. His body, once frail and worn, now reveals toned, defined muscles. He sits up, glancing down at his hands, testing the changes in himself. It's clear even he is surprised by the transformation. Just then, a nurse opens the door and steps inside, announcing herself before freezing mid-step. Her eyes widen in shock as she catches a glimpse of Jin-Woo's bare torso. She fumbles out an apology, cheeks turning red. Jin-Woo calmly replies that it's his fault for not being dressed. As she tries to remain professional, she can't help but wonder, was his body always that chiseled when he was admitted? Now fully dressed in scrubs, Jin-Woo answers her question about his discharge. She asks, awkwardly but hopefully, if she can get his number. Jin-Woo blinks, confused. Number? He asks. She clarifies nervously, only if he's okay with it. Jin-Woo wonders if she means a test result needs to be sent to him. We transition to the next day. Outside a large residential building, Jin-Woo's younger sister, Jina, is tying her shoes. Their brother-sister banter begins as Jin-Woo walks out in casual clothes. She notices something different about him. His body looks more toned, and he seems taller. She asks jokingly, do men still grow after turning 20? Jin-Woo chuckles and hands her an umbrella. She complains that it's not raining, and that the umbrella's heavy. He tells her to stop making a fuss. They exchange smiles as she leaves for school. Jin-Woo watches her go, then opens his daily quest screen. 3 out of 4 exercises, push-ups, curl-ups, and squats, are complete. Only the sprint remains unfinished. He shrugs it off and says he'll do it later. Pulling up his status window, Jin-Woo reflects on how much his body has changed, not because of normal workouts, but because his stats directly impact his physique. Strength 48, vitality 27, agility 27, intelligence 27, sense 27. He stares at the remaining 12 points. Thinking back to his encounters, he wonders if putting too many points into strength might make him unbalanced, like a bodybuilder with no flexibility. A humorous mental image of a buff man flashes in his mind. He decides instead to spread the points wisely, investing more into agility and sense. Intelligence, he figures, must be related to magic, but he's not sure if he needs that just yet. After reallocating his stats, his strength reaches 50, agility 35, and sense 29. He nods, satisfied. I guess this should be fine. Suddenly, his phone buzzes. He answers it casually, Hunter-sung Jin-Woo speaking. It's his landlord, calling about overdue rent. Jin-Woo explains that he was recently hospitalized due to an accident. The landlord, half sympathetic, offers to delay the payment by a month, but Jin-Woo assures him he'll pay soon. As the call ends, Jin-Woo thinks to himself, double awakening. If he really is an awakened individual, he should be able to earn money easily. His path seems clear, become a top-rank hunter. After all, hunters kill monsters and make money? A montage begins. Hunters fighting beasts. Crystals forming in the aftermath. Jin-Woo narrates how the higher the rank, the more valuable the monster drops. But to fight higher-level monsters, one must pass through higher difficulty gates. This bottlenecks E and D-rank hunters like him, forcing them into competition over limited low-rank gates. It's no wonder E-ranks are rarely hired, even by guilds. His gaze falls on the TV. The title, World's Weakest Hunter, flashes across the screen, his nickname, once a source of ridicule. He wonders if he should simply undergo a re-evaluation to officially raise his rank. But the thought of attention troubles him. The moment people learn about his second awakening, gossip and scrutiny will follow. Other hunters might target him out of jealousy or fear. He imagines the red eyes of envy staring at him in the dark. So, Jin-Woo resolves to stay quiet, for now. He needs more time, he needs money. He picks up his phone, determined. If I could just get into an attack force first. Later that day, Jin-Woo stands outside a gate site. His attire is different, casual but ready. Ahead, a group of hunters await. A man steps forward to greet him with a loud, cheerful voice. You must be Jin-Woo. I'm Hwang Dong-suk. They shake hands. Dong-suk confirms that Jin-Woo is E-rank, and some in the group chuckle. One recognizes him as the infamous world's weakest hunter. The nickname draws laughter. Jin-Woo smiles awkwardly, but Dong-suk brushes it off, doesn't matter. What matters is numbers. Dong-suk explains the plan. It's a C-rank gate, but Jin-Woo is exempt from combat. He's being paid just to fill out the party quota 2 million won. Jin-Woo agrees and signs the contract. Looking around, Jin-Woo scans the others, 5 C ranks and 4 lower than D. He recalls the rule, at least half of any attack force for a C rank gate must be C rank or above. That's why fillers like him are sometimes hired. Another guy introduces himself with a smile, Eugene Ho, a D rank like Jin-Woo. He also signed up for the money? Jin-Woo eyes Jin-Ho's flashy armor, shiny, custom fit, unlike anything a low-rank hunter should afford. Is he a millionaire's son? He wonders. Jin-Woo asks what his role is. Just carry the baggage, someone says. Jin-Woo sees the heavy packs stacked nearby, equipment, food, And supplies? He looks around the team. Are we going in without a healer? He asks. Dong-suk nods. Hard to find a healer for small parties. This group's mostly tanks and dealers. Jin-Woo isn't thrilled. It's risky. But he accepts the reality. I won't blame anyone if something happens inside. With that, Dong-suk orders everyone forward. Jin-Ho walks beside Jin-Woo and pats his arm. Don't worry. I'll protect you, he says with a grin. Jin-Woo forces a laugh, eyes narrowing in amusement. Jin-Woo opens his status screen one more time. Level 18. Strength 50. Vitality 27. Agility 35. Intelligence 27. Sense 29. MP 350. HP 2220. No remaining points? He's ready. Sung Jin-Woo silently adjusted the heavy backpack filled with equipment and provisions, his body moving with calm efficiency. His eyes scanned the team as Hwang Dong-soo, the burly and overconfident leader, signaled them to move. Let's go, he commanded, leading the group forward. As the hunters advanced, Dong-soo made idle conversation with his comrades. He speculated that the recent construction delay might have been due to the company going bankrupt. Apparently, the site's boss had fled overseas with billions in stolen funds. Jin-Ho, walking beside Jin-Woo, chimed in, casually mentioning how tough things were for workers and investors alike. Jin-Woo stared ahead, unfazed by the chatter, and simply asked, "Why are you telling me this?" Jin-Ho laughed awkwardly, trying to ease the tension between them. "Isn't that bag heavy? You okay?" Jin-Woo responded with a polite but firm, "I can carry it." Thanks to his increased strength stat, the weight didn't bother him in the slightest. Jin-Ho chuckled and remarked, "No need to be so formal. Are you always this quiet?" Jin-Woo muttered, "I think it's you who talks too much." Jin-Ho paused, slightly embarrassed, then admitted that most people didn't pay him much attention. "Being a hunter is just my hobby," he said, revealing a flashback of him as a wealthy young man, seated on a lavish golden throne. His background as the son of a conglomerate was hard to miss. Soon, the group reached the dungeon gate. A chilling swirl of blue magic floated ominously in the air. "We're here," Dong-soo announced. The gate was unusually large, its size triggering concern among some of the more seasoned hunters. "Are you sure this is C rank?" someone questioned. Dong-soo assured them he'd seen many people go in and out of it, dismissing their concerns. Jin-Woo quietly observed it. "It's my first time at a C rank gate," he thought, his instincts warning him that something was off. Dong-soo confidently declared he'd lead first and stepped through the gate. The others followed. The team assembled inside a dark, cavernous space. The oppressive silence and the absence of monsters set everyone on edge. Dong-soo ordered,
"It's too dark. Q1, turn on the light." What is this place? Where are the beasts?
Do some dungeons not have magic beasts? No, they just haven't shown up yet. What lives in the darkened groups and attacks when they see light? That noise!
Insect-type beasts!
Insects?
Where? I can't see them!
Above!
A swarm of glowing red eyes descended, dozens of insectoid monsters raining down. Panic surged through the group. "They're above us. Use magic. Get them off the ceiling." Voices overlapped in terror. Joel Hwan unleashed a blast of magic that lit up the entire cavern. Even with their coordinated attacks, the sheer number of monsters was overwhelming. Dong-soo barked commands, rallying the group. "Over here." "Yes, this way, insects," he shouted, luring the enemies toward him. His shield flared as he charged, keeping the horde focused on him while the damage dealers struck with swords and spells. Jin-Woo watched silently, analyzing their teamwork. C-rank hunters. Their teamwork is good, impressive, even without a healer. He noted how the frontline, damage dealers, and even Dong-soo's leadership came together like a rehearsed routine. They've always created squads without a healer. That's why they're so efficient. Jin-Ho fought nearby, his flashy equipment clashing against monsters with brilliant sparks. "He's rough," Jin-Woo observed, "but his armor is too good. It cancels out most of his mistakes." Still carrying the bags, Jin-Woo avoided combat, observing quietly. Everyone's doing well, but he frowned as a few monsters charged at him. In a flash, he kicked them with such force that their bodies were torn apart. This is a bit frustrating, he thought, watching the others struggle. After the battle ended, Dong-Su turned to the group. Let's rest here. We'll clean out the dungeon and return through the entrance. He reminded everyone to pace themselves. Take all the magic crystals. We're splitting them among 9. Jin-Ho smiled. This is my favorite part. Another hunter added, you saved us before. How did you know the monsters were coming from above? Jin-Woo, humble as ever, replied, I just felt it. Dong-Su smirked. Your senses are sharp. Suddenly, one of the hunters called out, Dong-Suk, come look at this.
They were already torn to pieces before we fought them? Could it be a boss, or... This... smells like money.
Chino, I think we should be careful. What is this ominous feeling?
In the depths of the dungeon, the group pressed on. The narrator's voice took over, explaining, a dungeon size varies, but not always based on rank. Some dungeons can take weeks to explore, while others are navigated in just hours. This one? It was like a maze. Progress was slow, winding, frustrating. Jin-Woo kept his distance, still carrying his massive backpack like a porter. My job was just to carry supplies, he thought. I didn't need to fight. That was the deal. He sat quietly with the others, spooning a meager meal into his mouth. To earn money without risking his life, it seemed like a good arrangement. But just as he began to relax, a system alert popped up again. Red words, beware of lizards. His eyes narrowed. He didn't know what it meant, but something about the warning unsettled him. Still, no monsters had appeared for a while. The deeper they ventured, the more they saw only corpses, half-eaten insect monsters, limbs torn off. Something else had attacked them. Wang Dong-Suk furrowed his brow. We haven't even found intact monsters yet. Just bodies, he muttered. But if there's no boss, the gate wouldn't be open. Something's not right. Wait, Dong-Suk suddenly called out. Yuan. Light it up. The mage nodded, summoning a glowing orb in her hand. As the light spread, the group collectively gasped. My God, someone whispered. The cave walls weren't just stone, they were wrapped in thick white silk. Webs. Enormous, endless webs. In the center, a tunnel. One that could only lead to one thing. It's the boss room, Dong-Suk growled. His face hardened. Get ready. They entered with caution. Inside, something glittered like frost, except it wasn't ice. Their jaws dropped. This is jackpot. Mana crystals. Towering blue shards filled the room, reflecting light off every surface. How many? Someone exclaimed. They're huge. Dong-Suk grinned. They're worth a lot. Not as powerful as monster drop crystals, but these? These will sell like crazy. The talk quickly turned to profit. Over 10 million won. Easily. Another voice chimed in, sarcastic. Even your little brother in America would be jealous. That name clearly triggered something in Dong-Suk. His gaze darkened. Ignoring me, ditching your country for America just for money. He clenched his fist behind his back. I'll grow my squad. I'll show them I'm still relevant. He turned to one of the men. Hand me the contract Jin-Woo signed. I want to check something. Jin-Woo and Jin-Ho stood nearby, silent, while the leader pretended to read. But the mood changed quickly as the real reason surfaced. Sirs, a mage spoke up. According to this, Jin-Woo's contract only says he doesn't get a share of monster drops. Nothing about mana crystals. Dong-Suk raised an eyebrow. More voices joined in. So technically, shouldn't the crystals be split among 10, not 9? The team turned toward Dong-Suk. He smiled, lips curling unnaturally. Of course, we'll split them evenly. But then his expression darkened. Still, there's something we need to settle first. Suddenly, from the shadows, glowing red eyes emerged. Dungeon boss, he muttered. The others gasped. A massive spider, easily several times their size, rested above the crystal field. Dong-Suk spoke again, calmly. We don't need to fight it now. If we kill it, the gate will close. And we haven't mined the crystals yet. The boss seemed asleep. Now's the perfect time, he smirked. Let's move the loot. Chilbin, do you have the mining gear? But the man scratched his head sheepishly. I left it in the car. Idiot, Dong-Suk growled. Always bring it with you. Then he turned to Jin-Woo and Jin-Ho. You two stay here and guard the room. Jin-Ho looked confused. In here? By ourselves. It's fine, Dong-Suk reassured with a big fake smile. It won't attack unless you enter its territory. Just stay still and it'll be fine. He turned to leave. Jin-Woo, watching closely, was silent. Outside the boss chamber, Dong-suk gathered the rest of the group. You know the rule. C-rank gates must be entered with at least 10 people. He grinned. Right now, the squad has 8. Dong-suk leaned in toward Gyu-hwan. Block the entrance.
Q1. Block the boss's lair's entrance.
The entrance!
Just as I thought. They're lizards.
The scene shifted to a flashback, an eerie reminder of the term lizards. A hunter explained to a newcomer, sometimes, there are lizard-like bastards, real scum among hunters who abandon or kill their own just for loot. The shadows of past betrayal loomed heavily. In dungeons, there's no CCTV, no way to prove anything. If you're weak, you're disposable. The cold truth settled in. The stronger devour the weak, and the only protection is strength. That conversation echoed now louder than ever, like a lizard shedding its tail. Weak hunters get discarded to save the rest. Back in the dungeon, Jin-Ho panicked. What do we do? His voice cracked under pressure. The realization hit hard. This wasn't just betrayal. They tried to kill us, over mana crystals. Rage and fear mixed in his words. Jin-Woo remained still, eyes-focused. We were already caught in the trap. If we fought back, they would have struck us down. Jin-Ho looked shaken. I think it's better we leave together. But escape was no longer an option. Elsewhere in the dungeon, Hwang Dong-soo and his crew acted like nothing happened. It's great everyone was taken care of cleanly, one joked. Another muttered, so that's what he meant, as they discarded supplies and confirmed the trap was sealed. Jin-Woo quietly watched, calculating. He wasn't concerned with the closed exit, not yet. What worried him was the thing that stirred after the explosion. And then it moved. The spider boss, colossal, monstrous, began to awaken. Its many legs twitched, its glowing red eyes scanning for prey. Jin-Woo looked up, calm yet resolute. A C-rank dungeon boss. He knew what he was up against. Back at the dungeon's outer halls, the traitorous party discussed returning after the spider fed, after Jin-Woo and Jin-Ho were dead. With an E rank and a rookie, it's guaranteed. Inside,
Jin-Woo, stay behind me! I'll do what I can.
Countless eyes, gaping maw, legs the size of trees. This boss is on a completely different level. You stay put. He's all mine.
Jin-Ho was stunned. What are you trying to do? Jin-Woo replied firmly. Kill it. Jin-Ho panicked. You're crazy. But Jin-Woo had already made his choice. If you plan to beat a C-rank boss, you better be elite B rank or higher, Jin-Ho warned. But Jin-Woo wasn't listening. Inwardly, he admitted, even after ReAwakening, I'm still weak, yet I don't feel the pressure. As the spider roared, Jin-Woo didn't fall to his knees like before. I don't feel the fear I once did. He compared the spider's aura to the blue-fanged beast from his instant dungeon. Risaka was an E-rank boss, and the golem before that might have been D-rank at best. But this spider, it was far stronger. Still, Jin-Woo smiled faintly. It just means I've become strong enough not to cower before a C-rank. The spider struck, and Jin-Woo dashed forward with unmatched speed. He leapt, blade in hand. His current level was 18. A C-rank boss is doable. He slashed and evaded, his blade slicing the spider's face. It reeled back in pain. Did it work? Jin-Woo asked himself mid-air. Risaka's fang glowed. Clearly, it was a powerful weapon. It's a good blade, huh? He muttered with a smirk. Then came his declaration. The reason a hunter is called a hunter, Jin-Woo landed, eyes fixed on the spider, is to hunt. And with fierce resolve, he lunged again. The real hunt begins now. Jin-Ho, frozen in awe, stared at the man who was supposed to be weak. That's an E-rank hunter, he exclaimed. The shock was clear in his face. And then, the system panel appeared. Name, Sung Jin-Woo level, 18 HP, 2220 MP, 350 title, Wolf Slayer weapon, Risaka's Fang, type, dagger, effect. Paralyze and bleed. Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe. Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince Y. The chapter begins. The silence of the dungeon was now broken by the sin of death. Blood painted the stone floor like an ocean of despair. Jin-Woo lay bleeding, barely conscious, his hand trembling beside his torn hoodie. In front of him, Juhi poured every ounce of her magic into healing him. Her tears mixed with sweat as she cried out, "Hold on for a little bit. I promise. I'll heal you." But it was already too late for so many others. A flicker of light came from her hands, but she was losing strength. "It's okay now, Miss Juhi," Jin-Woo whispered, his voice faint. "You can stop." Juhi's body trembled with exhaustion, her eyes wide with desperation. "No. I can still heal you." Around them, the few survivors tried to make sense of the chaos. Coughing and bruised, they gathered to assess what remained. "Will she be okay?" one hunter asked, concerned about Juhi. Another, grim-faced, replied, "Well, at least he survived. But we started out with 17. Now there are only 6 left, and 2 are gravely injured." As Jin-Woo sat up weakly, laughter escaped his lips. It was a broken, bitter sound. Not joy, not madness, just pure disbelief. Then, the blame started. "It's unfortunate that you lost your arm," one hunter said to Mr. Song, "but all of this happened because you made rash decisions as the party leader." Another added coldly, "Mr. Song, you'll have to answer for that." Mr. Song looked down, holding his wounded shoulder. "Yeah," but before anyone could respond, a loud thud echoed through the room. Everyone turned. The stone god had moved again. That bastard. Not again. The massive stone figure turned its head, eyes glowing, its foot lifting with thunderous force. Everyone stood frozen as it pointed. Another commandment. What's going on? An 8th rule. The room began to shake. An altar appeared at the center, slowly rising. Blue energy filled the chamber. Jin-Woo and the others stood paralyzed before the godlike statue, which now raised its hand toward the altar. One hunter stared wide-eyed. "What is that?" "An altar," Jin-Woo muttered. "You know, like in those ancient mythologies, where they offered sacrifices. Animals, people, cows, pigs, sheep, children. Don't tell me the last commandment is..." Mr. Song read the stone carving aloud, his voice heavy. "Prove your faith." Jin-Woo looked around. This is the final trial." Then realization struck one of the men, no matter how dumb it might seem. "I get it now. We need to sacrifice someone, don't we?" He gripped his blade, eyes shifting from person to person. "Who brought us here?" Another stepped forward. "Song Chi-yeol, it was you." He pointed the sword toward the older hunter. "You said it was a D-rank gate. Someone who bragged about his family was cleaved in half, and 10 more died. This is on you." Jin-Woo stepped forward, weak but furious. "That's enough. You're blaming him now. We all chose to come here. But no one was listening. You agreed to take responsibility," the man pressed. "Then prove it." Chi-yeol stepped forward slowly. "You're right. I must take responsibility." Juhi shouted, "No. Mr. Chi-yeol, don't." But the man gave her a soft smile. "I want to go by myself. Please take the sword away from me." Jin-Woo's eyes widened. "No. It's not your fault." Still, Chi-yeol walked toward the altar. Each step was heavier than the last. The platform glowed, recognizing his presence. One flame lit up. "Only one flame?" Jin-Woo gasped. What does that mean? Didn't it require a sacrifice?" Suddenly, he stood. "Can someone help me?" Everyone turned. "Let me go to the altar." "What?" someone exclaimed. "It'll probably be fine," Jin-Woo said. "If we stay here." "Do you think the other hunters will come save us?" "Today marks the 1-week point since the gate opened." Mr. Song nodded. "Those statues will attack before reinforcements arrive." Jin-Woo added, "The guild knew it was a D-rank gate. That's why they ignored it." He looked toward the massive statue. "But the gate opens after 7 days. And if the boss isn't defeated, monsters will come through. That's the whole point of a raid. Stop it before that happens." He clenched his fists. "If we fail now, that monster will enter our world." He turned back to the others. "Everyone, get on the altar." Slowly, one by one, the survivors stepped forward. Each person that climbed onto the altar made a flame rise. Orange and blue light danced around them. Then suddenly, an explosion of energy. The entire altar lit up. A powerful surge burst through the room, triggering a massive reaction. Flames rose around the platform like a ceremonial fire, and then, the door opened. The large stone doors, which hadn't budged an inch in days, slowly parted. The door opened? "What?" the hunters gasped. "What is this?" "Can we leave?" someone asked. No, another answered. Something's wrong. Suddenly, a crashing noise echoed. All eyes turned as statues began to shift. They're moving. What now? They're coming for us. Dozens of towering knights stepped forward, glowing with sinister energy. Their weapons were raised. Their eyes locked onto the group. And just like that, the final trial began. As the colossal armored statues began to stir, the tension inside the temple exploded. One hunter shouted in disbelief. All of them just started moving. Panic rippled through the group as the once immobile guardians stepped forward with a heavy, deafening stomp. The hunters scrambled to understand what was happening. From the shadows, Jin-Woo stared, eyes wide, trying to process the scene. Jin-Woo panted heavily, eyes darting from one monster to another. He noticed a pattern, something about the way the statues moved when no one was looking. Then realization dawned. He turned to Ju-hee, his voice sharp and desperate. Miss Ju-hee, you can't close your eyes. Another hunter added, it's like that game we played as kids. They only move when you look away. Jin-Woo shouted to everyone, don't take your eyes off the statues. But the challenge was immense. There were too many statues and too few hunters. Ju-hee trembled, trying her best to stay focused. But not everyone could manage the pressure. One woman suddenly broke into a run. No. Jin-Woo screamed, trying to stop her, but it was too late. Her body was hurled across the room and slid into the open doorway, blood marking her trail. Everyone froze in horror. And then, as if mocking their hope, the giant door creaked slightly closed. She's still alive, someone muttered. Confusion set in, but Mr. Song quickly analyzed the situation. The door closed a little when a red flame vanished. The number of flames matches the number of people on the altar. Jin-Woo's thoughts raced. The flames, they're a timer. One by one, the blue flames flickered out. And with each one, the door crept shut. The pattern was undeniable. If all the blue flames vanish, we'll be trapped in here, Jin-Woo warned. He knew then, this wasn't just a test of survival, but a test of faith. The first commandment is worshiping the Lord, Jin-Woo recalled. The second is to praise the Lord. He scanned the statues again. This was no riddle. The rules were written in plain sight. The open door wasn't salvation, it was a trap, offering false hope to those who gave up too early. Behind him, someone shouted, we can't have more people leaving. Jin-Woo spun around just in time to see another hunter making a break for the exit. Don't, he screamed, but the man was gone. Another red flame died, and the door inched closer to closing. In the chaos, Mr. Kim Sang-shik tried to restore order. Everyone, just stay and look at the statues. That's all we have to do until the flames disappear. Mr. Kim turned to Jin-Woo, his expression conflicted. To be honest, I never imagined someone as weak as you could be so helpful. He admitted how he looked down on Jin-Woo from the start. A lot of people died, but the ones still alive, it's because of you. Jin-Woo, battered and exhausted, didn't know what to say. He wasn't used to hearing words like that. Mr. Kim looked away for a moment, voice trembling. I also have a family. I don't want to die here. Then, with a quiet, I'm sorry, he stepped away. No, mister, Jin-Woo screamed, reaching out. But it was too late. Another flame flickered out, and the massive stone door inched closer to sealing them in for good. Jin-Woo stared in disbelief as Mr. Kim's silhouette disappeared through the gap. Tears welled in Jin-Woo's eyes. Thank you, he whispered, barely able to process the man's final words. But then the silence was shattered. The test wasn't over yet? After surviving the brutal judgment of the temple statues, the group barely made it through the final trial. But the cost had been unimaginable. Inside the chamber, the fire still flickered faintly as Jin-Woo slumped against a pillar, his body shaking with pain. He coughed, struggling to breathe, blood slipping past his lips. His vision blurred. He wasn't sure how long he had left. A cold whisper echoed in his mind. You running from here will result in our deaths. It was a cruel reminder. That altar, the rule, someone always had to remain? At the far side of the chamber, the massive stone doors had nearly closed. The surviving hunters stood silently, torn between hope and guilt. Song Chi-yeol, their leader, stared at the entrance grimly. The doors nearly closed. He muttered, it's too late now, but I finally get what's happening. He turned toward Jin-Woo, eyes heavy with sorrow. You all should leave. Startled, the other hunters protested. One of them shouted, Mr. Song Chi-yeol, the door won't close if there's at least one person on the altar, right? But Song cut them off. You two have many more years ahead of you. You should leave. His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed a deep sadness. He turned to Ju-hee and asked gently, Miss Ju-hee, Could you help Mr. Sung? Jui nodded, trying to stand, but suddenly collapsed. Her eyes widened in shock. Oh, what? Her legs wouldn't respond. She tried again, trembling violently, but still, nothing. My legs, they won't move, she cried, on the verge of panic. Song Chi-yeol assessed her quickly. It must be mana exhaustion. You used too much mana trying to heal Mr. Sung. Jin-Woo looked up at them. His voice was weak but clear. Mister, you should take Miss Juhi out of here. But Song shook his head. I said I would stay. Jin-Woo insisted. Then who will help Miss Juhi? The chamber shook. There's no time. Go. Juhi's eyes filled with tears. No. Jin-Woo. I'd rather stay, but Jin-Woo forced a small smile. I promised to buy you dinner, didn't I? He placed something into her hand. Eat it first. I'll get my payment from you when I return. She looked down at the healing potion in her palm, speechless. This isn't the time for jokes, she whispered, choking back tears, but Jin-Woo and then boom. As Jin-Woo tried to recall the events, he was shocked to learn he'd been unconscious for 3 days. He immediately asked about Juhi and Song Chi-yeol. The inspectors assured him that they survived, but not without consequences. Mr. Song had lost his arm and would likely never return to hunting. Juhi was still undergoing treatment for severe trauma. Whether either of them would ever hunt again remained uncertain. When Jin-Woo asked about the others, hunters like Kim Sang-shik, he was told the blunt truth. Only 6 people survived the double dungeon. The inspectors explained that while hunters faced danger regularly, this massacre was highly unusual. When our team arrived, they said, there were no statues, no altar, nothing. Only Jin-Woo was found lying on the floor, alone? Jin-Woo's face twisted in disbelief. That can't be. But the inspectors confirmed that every survivor told the same story. Had there been even the slightest variation, they said, we would have assumed it was a lie. That consistency led them to believe in a rare phenomenon, double awakening. According to their theory, hunters normally receive their abilities during their first awakening. But in rare cases, someone awakens a second time, and their power level shoots through the roof, jumping from C rank to A rank, or even from B to S rank. They brought out a tool, the magic power detector. Jin-Woo was told to place his hand on it. If the monsters described by the survivors were real, one inspector said, then no ordinary hunter could have handled them. We suspect you alone might have defeated them. But when Jin-Woo placed his hand, the result was disappointing. His magic level was still just 10. A result far below even the lowest E rank? One inspector scoffed. I guess trash is trash. The other apologized, saying they must have been mistaken. As they stood to leave, Jin-Woo remained still, confused. But they didn't see the system window, did they? He wondered. That's when it popped up again. You have unread mail. He glanced at his body. His leg was still bandaged. His chest, previously pierced, now fully healed. Jin-Woo couldn't tell anymore what was real. He thought of telling the inspectors about the messages, but would they even believe him? After all, they couldn't see the window. Just then, a cheerful voice called out, Brother, what are you doing? His sister Gina stood at the door, visibly relieved. She scolded him affectionately. A message appeared. Daily quest. Preparing to become strong. Jin-Woo tilted his head. What is this? He opened the mailbox and the quest instructions appeared. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and 10 kilometers of running. He stared at the list and scoffed. This has to be a joke, right? I'm hospitalized. He figured he'd just sleep and deal with it later. But the system had other plans. A warning message flashed. Failure to complete the daily quest will result in punishment. Suddenly, alarms blared. Jin-Woo looked down as another message appeared. Penalty quest. Survive. Time required. 4 hours. He had to live through the full duration. His heart pounded. You're kidding, right? He whispered as the monster lunged toward him. Sung Jin-Woo was drenched in sweat, breath ragged, pushing himself to run, desperately trying to escape the monstrous sand centipede that relentlessly chased him. His feet pounded against the scorching sand, his lungs burned, and fear surged through him as the creature roared behind him, shaking the very earth. The beast lunged again and again, its massive segmented body tearing through dunes, the penalty quest timer counting down behind his eyes. He was out of strength, yet he couldn't stop, not if he wanted to survive. And then, time stopped. The quest window blinked open in the air. Penalty quest. Survive. Time remaining. 0 hours, 0 minutes, 7 seconds. A new message appeared. You have completed the penalty quest. The scene quickly shifted as hospital staff rushed in, shocked to see Jin-Woo lying face first on the floor with sand scattered all around him. They called for help, scrambling to get him back into the bed. Later, 2 nurses whispered among themselves, gossiping about a patient named Sung Jin-Woo. One nurse noted he was supposedly a hunter, but what caught their attention was how he had already started running again, even though it had only been a few days since he woke up. The other assured her it was okay since hunters heal faster than normal people. They peeked out the window, and there he was, running nonstop in the hospital courtyard. His face drenched with sweat, his body sore and aching, but he wasn't stopping. Jin-Woo, narrating to himself, revealed that 4 days had passed since he awakened. In that time, he had discovered a few things. First, he realized the quest notifications and floating messages weren't an illusion. They were very real, visible only to him. The daily quest tracker marked each goal completed. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and 10 kilometers of running. And now, with all tasks completed, the system offered him a choice of 3 rewards. He chose status recovery, and in a flash of radiant golden light, his exhausted body was refreshed, his fatigue washed away. His eyes lit up in awe. Magic that could erase exhaustion just like that? It felt too surreal. Not only that, but he could now allocate stat points too. The status window displayed his name, level, and every attribute, just like a character in a game. Strength, agility, intelligence, everything could be adjusted. He marveled at the interface, items, inventory, storage. It truly felt like his life had turned into a game, but rather than fear it, he embraced it. Later, while sitting on a bench outside the hospital, he stared up at the sky, wondering aloud what was really happening to him. The transparent window hovered before his eyes again. He still had 3 unused stat points. He wasn't sure how this game-like system came to be, but he was determined to make the most of it. After checking out of the hospital, Jin-Woo approached the front desk and calmly requested a leave for the day. The nurse agreed but curiously asked where he was headed. He simply replied, "I have some business to take care of." As he walked through the city, he examined a glowing object in his hand. Jin-Woo stood at the edge of the dungeon portal, his face tense and frustrated. "I'm seriously expected to manage this without a party?" he muttered, questioning the logic of such an impossible task. The gateway before him pulsed with ominous energy, inviting him into a deadly unknown. And yet, he stepped through. Inside, the dungeon was eerily silent, a place that once might have bustled with life now overtaken by nature and decay. Cracked tiles were littered with patches of overgrown weeds, and the fluorescent lights above flickered ominously. The entire place reeked of danger? Jin-Woo pressed forward cautiously, his footsteps echoing against the empty walls. Each step made him more uneasy. "What do I do?" "I'm feeling less and less confident," he admitted quietly. Then he stopped. A strong, foul stench hit him. His eyes narrowed. It must be a beast monster. A low growl confirmed his fear. Then came the sudden roar and thunderous charge of a massive creature, a monstrous red wolf with glowing crimson eyes. Steel Fang Raikan. It lunged straight at Jin-Woo, jaws wide open, razor-sharp teeth gleaming. He barely dodged in time, adrenaline pushing his reflexes to the limit. Jin-Woo ran. The wolf was relentless, snarling and snapping at his heels. A wolf, he gasped in disbelief. Steel Fang Raikan wasn't just a beast, it was a named monster, a mini-boss level threat. His body trembled. Even 1 or 2 goblins had already been hard enough for me. So can I actually win against this? Sweat poured down his face. He tried to move, but his leg wouldn't respond. My leg, it's not moving. His mind flashed back to the double dungeon, the trauma still lingering. Why? He asked himself. Because I'm scared? Is that it? He tried to shake it off. I don't even have a healer. I can't afford to get hurt now. Raikan lunged again, forcing Jin-Woo to jump back. His breath quickened. He had to fight. But how? Back to Jin-Woo, he narrowly escaped another bite, his eyes sharp with determination. I barely got my life back, he muttered. You think I'll cower in fear? I won't die now. With a desperate yell, he leaped into action, fist clenched, attacking Raikan head-on. He landed a solid punch that surprised even him, sending Raikan skidding back. Jin-Woo stared at his glowing hand. What? Could it be because I improved my strength stat? His heart lifted. But it's still stronger than me. The beast retaliated, striking hard. Jin-Woo tried again, but his blows weren't enough. As I thought, this won't do. Monsters aren't affected much by normal attacks, he realized. Even this mob is stronger than I am. He dodged another attack and cursed. Damn it. What do I do? He sprinted through the corridor with the monster chasing close behind. It's too much for me alone. I can't win. Slashing claws grazed his back. Party, healers, equipment. I don't have any of those. What I have that can beat it, he thought. What I have is just my body. Then something clicked. A weapon possessing magic power. If only I had a weapon. His eyes widened. A weapon. Wait. Inventory. He shouted. Instantly, his interface appeared. His hand reached inside the glowing screen and pulled out a blade crackling with energy. Yeah. I don't know why this is in here, but he gripped it tightly. The blade swung clean through Raikan's side. The beast howled in pain, and the screen blinked. You have defeated Steel Fang Raikan. You leveled up. Jin-Woo glanced at the weapon. The blade that Mr. Kim Sang-shik left behind in the double lair? It gleamed with power. Didn't Mr. Kim say this sword cost him over 3 million won? So expensive, usually I wouldn't even be able to touch it. He grinned. An inventory? Huh? That's pretty useful. Can I store anything in here? Suddenly, his head snapped up. Another monster appeared. No, 2 more steel Fong Rikens emerged from the fog. He gritted his teeth. Since I have a weapon, I'm not afraid anymore. But when he tried to draw the sword, it wouldn't budge from the defeated wolf's corpse. Why can't I pull it out? Come on, he shouted. The monsters were already upon him, jaws open. In a desperate burst of energy, he roared and yanked the sword free just in time, launching himself into a wild slash that fended off the attack. He's not called Steel Fong for nothing, he muttered, staring at his weapon stuck again in a fresh corpse. I can't let Mr. Kim's sword go to waste. With another burst of power, Jin-Woo slashed clean through the beast, delivering a finishing blow that left it bloodied and still. Now only one remained. Jin-Woo stepped toward it. Now that I think about it, you guys, when compared to those monsters, he thought back to the stone statues in the temple dungeon, are too weak. The remaining beast growled but hesitated. Jin-Woo's stats appeared. Level 2, all 6 remaining points allocated to strength. Passive skill, muscularity. Active skill, sprint. His new weapon gleamed in his inventory. The hunt had just begun. A low growl echoed through the misty dungeon as a red-furred beast bared its fangs. Its piercing red eyes glowed in the darkness as it prepared to charge, but then, something changed. A deeper, more menacing presence emerged. Glowing eyes stared back at the creature from within the shadows, paralyzing it with fear. The mist thickened, and tension spiked in the air. The beast retreated in panic? Sung Jin-Woo stood calmly, his system screen open in front of him. His level had increased to 2. His HP was now 205, MP 22, and his strength had risen to 20. Agility, intelligence, and sense were all at 11. Vitality remained at 9. No remaining points to assign yet. He had gained 2 passive skills, one unknown and one called muscularity, both at level 1. He also had an active skill named Sprint, also at level 1.
Looks like I get 5 stat points every time I level up. I actually have a chance to become stronger. What should I do next? I can't leave this dungeon till I've defeated the boss. If this is an E-rank dungeon, shouldn't I be able to kill the boss? I could die before I make it that far. No, there's nothing to fear. I mean, I've already died once.
With a sudden roar, the beasts charged at him. Their teeth bared, claws ready to tear him apart. Jin-Woo didn't flinch. He slashed through the first wave with brutal efficiency, his blade flashing like lightning. I won't die that easily, he shouted as blood splattered across his face. So you all shouldn't die too easily either, or I'll feel sorry. The air cracked with blue energy as Jin-Woo fought relentlessly, blades sweeping in arcs of pure fury. Fight, fiercely, he told himself. As much as my body can endure. A system alert shined. You have leveled up. His strength surged, another alert. Another level gained. His attacks grew sharper, faster. I truly realize now. If I stop here, I'll be killed. You have leveled up. The message rang again. Covered in blood, Jin-Woo pushed forward. His blade cleaved another wolf. He roared in fury. If I die, I can't protect the ones I want to protect. He remembered her face, his sister, looking up at him with worried eyes. I will lose everything. He stood upright, still breathing heavily, body soaked in blood, but his grip didn't loosen. I can't just keep my head down like a weakling, he told himself. If I can become stronger, I'll follow these damn rules. He screamed, swinging his sword in a frenzy. You have leveled up. The dungeon walls were painted red from the chaos, blood splashed on the ground, but Jin-Woo's steps didn't falter. He staggered down a corridor, blood dripping from his chin. His breathing was heavy, but his eyes were filled with fire. Suddenly, the room ahead filled with more red eyes. Steel Fong Rikens, the elite wolves, revealed themselves one by one. Jin-Woo didn't retreat. He stared them down as they approached him. Ready for more? One final alert appeared in front of him. You have earned title, Wolf Slayer. Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe.